believe us. Not even Genova believes.
Ni kweli. Bosi mtoto mimi sijamuona tangu jana.
Maana yeye ndo babake na mamake. Au mtaanza kumadopt.
Siku zote wewe ndo wampeleka shuleni. Mbona leo?
Sasa pia tutabishana kwa sababu ya hili.
Badi hebu toka humu ndani ama ni uvunje mlango. Wataka kufa yeye kwa njaa? Put him down.
Smart. Nilifikiria swali la kwanza tunauliza ni nimeingiaje ndani.
I see.
Put him down.
My baby, my son.
He was stillborn, Dad.
What?
Yes. I already told you no. No, there's nothing there for me.
What would you like? I want the same as always. Why do you keep asking when you know I want the same thing every day? I'll get it right away.
But if you like, I can stop looking for
Oh
it.
no, that's impossible.
In that case, you need to give me more money to continue the investigation.
Find something that inspires you instead of feeling sorry for yourself all the time. Why don't you help me at the hotel?
What?
Good morning. You're tuned to KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. And thank you very much for your time. I'm Regina Nanyara. And as far as the news updates are concerned, is that now Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha wants the cane back in schools. Good morning once again. But we also have updates in regard to where we are. And as far as matters politics, especially the presidential petition is concerned, we'll be sampling what has, or rather what is contained in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, the presidential petition that also has cited the fact that the postponement of two elections in two counties must have affected the final tally of the votes in as far as the petition is concerned. Now, before we get to speak of stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, I'd want to include the rest of the team on the other side of studio. Jane, take it away.
Good morning, a ray of sunshine, eh? Welcome once again to the program. As already mentioned, this is Good Morning Kenya. We are glad you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. And you can always let us know where you are watching us from. As we always say here on KBC, Kenya is watching. And you can let us know where you are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Or you can also tag our official station handle, whichever remains to be at KBC Channel 1. Individually, you can find us as at Victor Olo, at Ray Manyara, and at Jane Wamboi. Welcome once again to the program. Today being Wednesday, we always have conversations that revolve around women, and today we'll be having one of the youngest candidates that was in this just concluded general elections. She is 25 years old and she was vying for a women rep position. She didn't get the position, but we'll be having a conversation with her to just understand what prompted her to venture into this particular path, given we did see in one of the youngest women reps our country has seen so far being 24 years old. Is it a wave or is it a time for the youth and especially women in this particular political space that we are in? We'll be having a conversation later on our segment, Women in Leadership. Welcome once again. My name is Jane Wamboi Kibera. Victor.
Absolutely. And yes, it's good morning. Welcome to the program. Let's get the show started. But before then, Regina has the order of business to start with the news bulletin. Regina.
Indeed. Now, on an enlightened note, I've seen something online, given where we are with matters of IEBC and the presidential petition, and someone has put out a meme on social media asking, would you rather take up a job as the IEBC commissioner, or would you rather hug a lion? And the comments there are quite hilarious. Just to remind you that you can get us on Twitter on KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is @RayManyara. Now we start off from the corridors of justice, where the state has been asked to protect a 9-year-old who is the only witness in the murder of her mother, allegedly carried out by her father. Elsewhere, the author of a feasibility study in the 8 million shillings graft case against former Busia Governor Sospita Ojamong has been summoned to clarify the variations in versions of the documents possessed by the prosecution and the defense.
Family members of Susan Waruiru, who was allegedly murdered by her husband in Githiga in Kiambu County, are now calling upon Witness Protection Agency to protect the deceased 9-year-old daughter, who is said to be the only witness in the murder of her mother. Speaking at Kiambu Law Court, the family said Waruiru's husband was arrested as a suspect in the murder, and that after the burial his family took custody of their daughter. They now suspect the accused family could influence the child's testimony.
And the accused person is her father. We feel that the child continues to stay with the parents of the accused person. The witness, she's not guaranteed to give a credible witness, as she will be compromised. They can be placed under Witness Protection Agency, and now we will be seeking that and the government to protect this particular child so that she will not be exposed. She was the only person who was at the scene of crime at the time the murder happened.
Meanwhile, the prosecution in former Busia Governor Sospita Ojamong's 8 million shilling fraud case now wants the anti-corruption court to summon the author of a document from the government printers due to varying information in the document they have from that possessed by the defense team. The document was produced by one of the witnesses from the defense team in the case where Ojamong and 5 others have been charged with the loss of 8 million shillings from the Busia County coffers on a solid waste management feasibility study project.
How is a court supposed to do this? The short answer is by considering the document, the evidence in chief in support of the document, the cross-exam on the document, and the corroborative value or evidences produced in support of that document.
Anti-corruption Magistrate Douglas Ogoti is to give directions on the document in question on Wednesday, on the 24th of August.
Now, from the corridors of justice, we delve into matters education, where day schools in Mombasa and Kakamega, as well as 6 other electoral areas, will be closed on Monday the 29th to pave way for elections that have been twice postponed to take place. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said the affected schools will resume operations on 30th of August.
The Education Cabinet Secretary was assessing the preparedness of schools in Nairobi to implement the competence-based curriculum when he stated that learning must still continue even as voters in areas where elections were postponed go to the polls next Monday.
For those mixed schools, I'm told that there are a few schools which are both boarding and day. The same will apply. The day scholars should remain at home for that Monday, report the following day. The boarding scholars should remain in school and remain away from the polling areas.
Magoha said to minimize disruption of learning in those areas, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission can use facilities in primary and secondary schools, as well as higher learning institutions. He, however, stated that boarding schools will not be closed.
But we have also agreed that the tallying centers, which may require more than one day, we have agreed mutually that they should be taken to tertiary institutions.
The elections to be held on Monday are for the gubernatorial seat in Mombasa and Kakamega counties, member of National Assembly in Pokot South, Kitui Rural, Rongai and Kachiliba constituencies, and member of County Assembly in Nyaki West in North Imenti constituency and Kwajenga Ward in Embakasi South constituency. The elections had been postponed following errors in the ballot papers.
And we will be there on ground to bring you the proceedings as the electorate in the two counties there participate in that particular election. These particular counties have been named in the presidential petition by Azimio la Umoja, saying that, the number of counties that was postponed, election were postponed, and there was low voter turnout affected the Azimio final tally. We'll be keeping tabs on that. And talking about petitions, is that some of the presidential petitions lodged at the Supreme Court on Monday seeking to overturn President-elect William Ruto's victory could be consolidated. Gospel musician and politician Reuben Kigame are among those who want the apex court to nullify the elections, claiming the whole process leading up to the results, as declared by the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, was marred by irregularities that rendered the final outcome invalid.
What had initially looked like a contest between President-elect William Ruto and his Azimio la Umoja opponent Raila Odinga in the disputed presidential election results took another twist, with 8 other petitioners besides Raila's. All the 9 petitions filed on Monday have to be dispensed within the 12 days allocated to the Supreme Court by the law. Gospel musician cum politician Reuben Kigame was barred from contesting for the top seat, and Busia Senator-elect cum politician Okiya Omtata are among notable names seeking to have the court nullify the presidential outcome.
Either I should be able to annul the election, go into a fresh election, or actually find into one of the prayers of Azimio, if they prove it, that the 50% plus 1 was actually never attained, we go for a rerun. So those are the two major things. The Supreme Court will want to operate with the Constitution, because the provision which they are trying to use is in the Election Act, which I think is inferior to the Constitution.
Legal experts say this eventuality could necessitate the consolidation of petitions with similar prayers in the interest of the limited time available.
The issues that have been raised by various petitions, some of them are cut across. Okay, so we expect when the courts are determining, they're going to come up with a list of issues they have to determine, and some of those issues are going to be consolidated. Okay, and 2, you are saying you've seen a bulk of documents, and I think the other side hasn't actually responded. So you are likely to see even more. We haven't seen anything on whether 14 days are sufficient. They may not be adequate, but I think they're sufficient because this country has been on an electioneering mode for years, let me say.
Kigame holds that the electoral body and its chairman Wafula Chebukati violated his political and human rights by disqualifying his application for the top seat. Kakamega Senator-elect and activist Okiya Omtata also wants the presidential results dismissed, stating that no candidate attained the 50+1 threshold as stipulated in the Constitution. Petitioner John Njoroge Kamau, on his part, is seeking the court's interpretation on whether IEBC chairman erred in excluding other commissioners in the final tally. Apart from Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party petition, other petitioners include John Njoroge Kamau, Daniel Kariuki Ngari, Julia Nyokabi Chege, Khalifa, Okiya Omtata, Youth Advocacy Africa, and Reuben Kigame.
Well, all eyes are focused at the Supreme Court across 45 counties there will be having their assumption in office, or rather their inauguration. Now, the assumption of the office of the Governor Committee in the regions are working around the clock to ensure a smooth transition process across the 45 counties. Now, the law mandates that the swearing in of the governor-elect shall occur in a public ceremony before a High Court judge. The judiciary has also issued guidelines that allow a seamless exercise, especially in counties where the outgoing governors have served their 2 terms of 10 years or have not been re-elected to office after the first term.
In Uasin Gishu County, the assumption of the office of Governor Committee says the swearing-in of Governor-elect Jonathan B. Chililim will be held at the Eldoret Sports Club. The committee's chairman, who is also the county secretary, Edwin Bett, says attendants are required to be seated by 9 a.m. and the ceremony will start at 10 a.m.
Inafaa kuwa hiyo ceremony ya swearing in inafanywa kutoka saa 4 hadi saa 8. Haifai kupita hapo. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuomba wananchi wetu wakuje. Mipango yote iko tayari, maandalizi imepangwa. Tutakuwa na jaji wa mahakama kuu ambaye atakuwa yeye ndiye atapreside over the ceremony, the swearing in bit, na kutakuwa na mambo mengine ambayo yatafanyika kuhusiana na hiyo procedure.
Separately, the county government of Kisii says every box has been ticked to ensure the swearing-in ceremony runs smoothly for the region's governor-elect, Simba Arati swearing-in ceremony. Kisii County Secretary Patrick Lumumba says they expect a record attendance at the 10,000 capacity Gusii Stadium to witness Governor-elect Simba Arati and his deputy Dr. Robert Monda take oath of office.
Kisii will be peaceful, and we are asking even the residents who are not already in Kisii to make travel arrangements to come to Kisii.
Operations are taking place countrywide to ensure the new county bosses are inaugurated as guided by the law. 45 counties elected their governors on Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 general election. Among those elected are 7 women governors: Susan Kihika in Nakuru, Gladys Wanga in Homa Bay, Cecily Mbarire in Embu, Kawira Mwangaza in Meru, Wavinya Ndeti in Machakos, Fatuma Achani in Kwale, and Anne Waiguru in Kirinyaga County. The electorate in Kakamega and Mombasa counties will elect their governors on Monday, August 29th, 2022.
Now, among the 45 governors who are going to be sworn into office, this actually happening tomorrow, is that KBC Channel 1 is going to be on ground to bring you those particular ceremonies that, remember, they're supposed to take place in a public ceremony with a presiding High Court judge. We'll be keeping tabs on that, and you can bet, as Kenya decides, KBC Channel 1 is on ground. Now, the Kenya Film Classification Board has initiated the process of redefining the role of film agents in the country in a raft of measures aimed at reforming the sector. KFCB Acting Chief Executive Officer Christopher Wambua says the agents will no longer issue licenses to content creators, but will instead be confined to providing international standard services to foreign films and television producers.
According to the Kenya Film Classification Board, the current practice of obtaining licenses through film agents inhibits market entry for aspiring creatives, thus stifling growth in the sector.
To create an enabling environment for our youth to harness the opportunities in the local creative economy, the KFCB has resolved to redefine the role of film agents in Kenya with a view to confining it to provision of international standard services to foreign film and television producers.
KFCB Acting Chief Executive Officer Christopher Wambua noted the redefinition of roles will see filmmakers obtain licenses from KFCB without having to go through a film agent.
It is our expectation that the reconfiguration of the license scope for film agents will remove barriers to entry for aspiring local filmmakers and thus create a facilitative environment for the sector to thrive in the aftermath of the debilitating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Wambua further reaffirmed the board's commitment to improving the regulatory environment in the film sector to spur the continued growth of the local creative economy.
The framework, which has already been subjected to public consultation, seeks to involve broadcasters and online streaming services in the examination and rating of audiovisual content meant to be broadcast, distributed, and exhibited on their platform.
The new guidelines also aim to create an enabling environment for the youth to harness opportunities in the creative industry.
We take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
I can keep you alive. Is by taking your eyes from you to give to her.
You'll marry her in heaven?
Right. I want the whole world to know that she's my wife.
Lady Loria, I'm begging you. Please don't take me from Floretta Court. Please don't.
Even if you speak up for me, no one will believe us. Not even Genova believes.
Life cannot always be too serious.
Yeah, man, what's up here?
Hello? We've got to take some time off and laugh, and laugh. And we tickle you down with lots of laughter.
That's why I'm saying I'm who is who.
Huh? With satire like no other.
Tell him to bring it on.
Can't settle down till me get my earth to burn. We just can't take her down until me get my Cali to burn. She don't call anymore. I'm thinking about you and for somebody new. Everybody let's sing, reverse the curve to where it's coming from. Turn it back as fast as you can.
You are watching In the Headlines right here on Good Morning Kenya and KBC Channel 1, and I am Regina Manyara. Now we start off with matters health, where the government has assured Nakuru residents that a recent outbreak of swine flu in Elmentaita ward has been contained and there is no cause for alarm. The Nakuru County Public Health Chief Officer Dr. Daniel Wainaina said the adequate mitigation measures have been put in place to control the spread of the virus to other areas.
Following the recent outbreak of swine flu in Elementaita ward in Nakuru County, the county government has moved in to assure area residents that all measures have been put in place to contain the situation.
The outbreak is contained. There is no cause for alarm. And as I have said, it's affecting a small group of the very young. And we've been able to put in public health measures to mitigate and to curtail this outbreak.
Nakuru County Public Health Chief Officer Dr. Daniel Wainaina says 8 children below 1 year of age are admitted with mild signs of the virus.
Most of our patients from the analysis are below 1 year. And below 1 year, you'd expect that the immunity is not very strong. And as such, and the management is just supportive management in terms of ensuring that they are able to be fed, they are kept warm, and they are given antibiotics to prevent any other concurrent infection.
Members of the public have been urged to maintain high hygiene standards and consume proper diet.
Good nutrition and good ventilation. Whenever you're in a room, ensure that is well aerated so that we prevent this. It's a droplet infection.
The flu was first reported on the 27th of July this year at Kiptangwanyi Health Center in Elementaita ward. At that time, a large number of children below 1 year presented with the flu symptoms, including high fever, difficulty in breathing, and prolonged cough. This is the second time that swine flu has hit Elementaita ward, with the first incidents reported in February of the year 2020.
An assurance by the Ministry of Health there down in Nakuru County that issue has been mitigated. Now on to matters education, where Kenyans will benefit from enhanced educational standards through the ongoing benchmarking of policies and engagements between the Ministry of Education and the Government of Finland. Speaking in Mombasa during the official opening of a 4-day international conference on enhancing education in Kenya, Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sarah Ruto underscored the critical role played by educational institutions in sustainable development.
Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sarah Ruto, noted the timelines of the conference being held under the theme Co-creation of Curriculum, Training, Policy Development and Linking Education to Industry comes at the right time when the country is undergoing various curriculum and social economic changes.
Any country is as good as the opportunity it gives its young people to be able to grow, both academically, so that they can also come and be part of the development process of the country. But you cannot talk about development without first talking about the individual development.
The CAS has, however, urged parents to embrace the transition of pupils to junior secondary under the competence-based curriculum CBC, as the Ministry of Education has put in place measures and policies to foresee a smooth and seamless transition.
In terms of prioritization, just the lab that can be used both for biology, physics, chemistry are very important. Now that we are going into CBC, there are other rooms that are also important. Like, for example, we want to introduce children to an array of pre-technical, career studies and pre-technical. So a room in which these learning can happen is important for all schools to identify. So increasing equality among schools is about giving more resources, but also sharing information.
Finnish Max Global representative to Kenya, Karita Proki, urged education stakeholders to change their teaching approach by embracing digital education from childhood and setting pilot programs to bring the desired change.
We've been cooperating with Kenyan counties in terms of bringing higher educated students to Finland to study nursing and risk management and physiotherapy and so forth, also at the vocational level. So I think this is why we are here, to enhance our cooperation and tell the story of Finland. Finnish education has been very successful, and it has been talked in many media.
Principal Secretary, State Department of University Education and Research, Simon Abukwesi, lauded the partnership between Kenya and Finland, saying it will enhance adoption of best practices in education.
We are here to notify Kenyans that opportunities are here
and the Finnish people are very friendly and willing to support Kenyans who are thirsty for more education to go to Finland. At the same time, to learn from their best practices, especially in training implementers of CBC.
The conference is being held over 4 days in Mombasa County.
Police in Laikipia County have dismissed as false reports that an independent electoral and boundaries commission returning officer Geoffrey Gitobo was murdered. Gitobo, who oversaw the elections in Gishogo constituency, Kirinyaga County, collapsed and was pronounced dead after being rushed to hospital. Details in the county news roundup.
And police in Embu County have launched a manhunt for burglars who made away with electronics worth 105,000 shillings from a house belonging to Embu Senior Principal Magistrate Henry Nyakweba over the weekend. Nyakweba said that the thieves gained entry into his house after making a hole on the fence.
But coming back on Sunday morning at 6 a.m., she found the house broken into. This security is an issue here, especially after Kazi Mtaani is stopped. When the Kazi Mtaani is ongoing, you can't hear anything. But the day it is stopped, if you take 1 week peaceful, you are lucky.
In Isiolo County, at least 20 families have been rendered homeless and property worth millions destroyed at Isiolo Market following a night fire. The inferno, which started at the market, reduced tolls to ashes and spread to the nearby informal settlement of Tumtum, where houses were razed to the ground.
Area sokoni, watu wameenda hasara kubwa sana. Manyumba ilianza kuchomeka, moto ikakuwa uncontrollable. Kama unaona hizi ma wholesale pia hizi zilikuwa na stock ya pesa mingi sana. So hapa watu wameenda hasara mamilioni ya pesa.
Elsewhere, Mandera County Commissioner Onesmus Kiatha has urged residents to cooperate with security agents in a bid to maintain peace in the area. Kiatha said that with cooperation of locals, chiefs can play a key role in stemming incidents of insecurity.
Sisi wote tujibidishe, tuhakikishe kwamba sisi wote tumehakikisha kwamba kuna amani ya kutosha. Tushirikiane na tuendelee kushirikiana kwa kupasha habari kwa vitengo zote za serikali ili kuhakikisha kwamba tunazingatia na kuweka amani ya kutosha.
And in Kakamega County, former employees of the Mumias Sugar Factory held peaceful demonstrations to protest alleged harassment by the management of Sarai Company. Led by Patrick Mutimba, the employees also decried poor working conditions.
Kama safety audit ingefanyika vizuri, Dickson ingangahange kufa. Tunataka government agencies wakuje wafanye audit ili watu wasiendelee kukufa.
Still in Kakamega, the region's water supply company is warning those with illegal connections of dire consequences if found culpable. The executive officer, Christabel Ashiono, said the company has incurred losses due to the actions of unscrupulous individuals.
From the counties now we speak matters business, where Equity Group made 24.4 billion shillings in net profit during the first 6 months of this year, representing a 36% increase on 17.9 billion shillings posted during a similar period last year. The profit was mainly driven by 29% growth in interest income and non-funded income, as at 99.9% of all lenders' customer transactions happened outside the branch network.
Equity Group's profit was driven by a 29% growth in interest income to 55 billion shillings, attributed to an increase in loans, which stood at 650.6 billion shillings. Regional equity subsidiaries also contributed 28% of the group's net profit, with the firm's group CEO, James Mwangi, noting that regional subsidiaries such as Rwanda and Uganda were posting high returns.
Equity Bank last year closed by being the biggest bank in Kenya, the second largest bank in Rwanda, and DRC, number 5 in Uganda. So we are seeing that We have now become a very strong regional bank.
Equity DRC's cost-to-income ratio reduced to 64 from 75, with Mwangi targeting to lower 8 further down to 60.
We have seen that it's now half the size of Kenya. It has a balance sheet of over 400 billion shillings. It's contributing 20% of the entire profit of the group.
The entire group targets to reduce the cost-to-income ratio to 40 in 3 years. The lender is yet to fully effect the risk-based loan pricing model so as to allow businesses to recover from COVID and geopolitical disruptions. He says the maximum interest rate the bank is charging is 13%, but under the risk-based pricing model, the rate would have been 18%.
And we did this deliberately to accommodate and to support Kenyans to come out of COVID. We think this will be an extended period because of the current microeconomic environment where inflation has hit very hard and businesses need support.
He noted that out of 171.4 billion shillings COVID restructured loan book, 46.6 billion shillings has fully been repaid, with only 2.7 billion shillings showing restraint, while a stock of 8.1 billion shillings is marked as non-performing.
Now, system outages coupled with poor customer service are the major challenges facing the adoption of internet banking in Kenya. The Deloitte 2022 Kenya Banking Sentiment Index further says that almost 6 out of every 10 bank customers prefer mobile banking, up from 5 in 2020. The Deloitte study ranks Absa Bank top with 12.7% in responding to customer concerns, while Cooperative comes in second with 2.6%.
The Deloitte report corresponds with the 2021 Kenya Bankers Association Customer Experience Survey that says customers preferred banking apps followed by mobile banking. In the 2022 Kenya Banking Sentiment Index by Deloitte, customers have taken to social media channels to engage with their service providers. The study shows that on average, only 53% of priority conversations received a public response, meaning almost half of customer requests went unanswered. The study also established that system outages or app downtime and a poor level of responsiveness to consumer queries and complaints pose a significant risk to the banking industry. Data EQ's Managing Director Melanie Milherb said in the case of multiple transacting channels failing simultaneously, consumers are left feeling helpless and frustrated. Overall, in the survey, Absa Bank led in regard to responses to customer concerns with a score of 12.7%, followed by Cooperative Bank with 2.6%. These were the only two banks to achieve positive scores, with the average net sentiment for the industry sitting at negative 7.6%.
Kenya is set to start exporting avocados to Malaysia as a delegation from the Asian nation is finalizing a pest risk analysis. The delegation visited the Kakuzi firm and facilities as Kenya seeks to increase its avocado market share in the global market.
Malaysia is set to become Kenya's latest avocado export destination, as a delegation from the Asian market is currently carrying out a pest risk analysis on the Kenyan fruit. The Asian nation is seeking to import both Fuerte and Hass avocado varieties from Kenya by the end of this year. The Malaysian delegation is the latest yet to carry out an inspection tour on Kenyan avocado orchards and processing facilities after India and Mauritius delegations carried out a similar analysis in the past few weeks. The development comes just weeks after Kenya started direct fresh avocado exports to China, following the certification of 15 exporters to start avocado shipments to the Far East nation. An increase in Kenya's avocado export destination saw the nation take pole position from South Africa as the leading avocado exporter in the region after exporting 44 million kilos of avocado worth 6 billion shillings from March to August this year. This, as a Jordanian delegation also carried out a tour on hot water vapor mango treatment plant at industrial area in Nairobi, as plans to start exporting mangoes to the Middle East nation are at an advanced stage. Kenya is seeking to increase its horticultural exports that saw the country earn 166 billion shillings from the sale of 682,000 tons of assorted products in 2021.
Still on matters agriculture, the Kenya Tea Development Agency is seeking 3 billion shillings from the National Treasury for subsidizing tea fertilizer for smallholder farmers. The agency says it has imported fertilizer worth 9 billion shillings for distribution to smallholder tea farmers from later this week.
Consignment of the 1.8 million metric tons of the fertilizer imported from Russia arrived on Saturday, with the Kenya Tea Development Agency seeking to start distributing it to smallholder tea farmers later this week. However, KTDA says it needs the National Treasury to release 3 billion shillings as subsidy for the fertilizer before deciding on the retail price of the farm input.
We are doing compiling the full cost, and you are aware the cost has gone a little bit higher, but we also sought the government to help us with a subsidy. When we do all the costing, by the time the fertilizer will be getting to the factory, they will be told the absolute amount which will cost per bag.
The first consignment contains 820,050 kg bag of fertilizer that is being transported via the standard gauge railway from Mombasa to Nairobi for packaging and distribution. The second batch of the fertilizer is expected in the country on the first week of next month and will contain 471,050 kg bag of fertilizer.
The other one is going to be 940,000 bags. This is 820,000 bags.
Currently, a 50 kg bag of fertilizer costs a high of 7,000 shillings in some regions after prices increased in the global market due to the Russian-Ukraine conflict.
Now into the sporting arena, the national netball team, Divas, lost the second match at the 2023 Netball World Cup qualifiers 72-31 to Malawi in Group B, a match played in Pretoria, South Africa.
The Joseph Makau Chargers' hopes to qualify in the World Cup got a hit after losing yet again in the match after a 46-30 loss to Zambia yesterday. Today, Kenya lost 72-31 to Malawi and play Eswatini tomorrow. Following the losses to Zambia and Malawi, Kenya will play the positional playoffs after the group stage phase. South Africa and Uganda have already qualified for next year's Netball World Cup in Cape Town. Uganda opted out of the qualifiers in favor of test matches against England. The top two teams from the tournament, excluding South Africa, who automatically qualify as the host, will make the grade for next year's World Cup.
Now back home, long-time co-driver Baldev Chagar Ravi Soni will be among the star attractions on the race weekend of September 2nd to 3rd when the 6th round of the Kenya National Rally Championship heads to Olenaishu and Greystones in Nanyuki. Ravi joins the Minty Motorsport outfit set alongside Raji Singh Barji in a Skoda Fabia Rally 2, which is the newest race machine in town.
Jasneel Singh was previously navigated Raji Singh in previous KNRC rallies, will be the team manager in a move that has ensured the team is running at its absolute best. Ravi Soni is confident for a podium position in Nanyuki after his fastest drive with Bareja.
Obviously left a void and we'll be looking at a few options. And today we actually tested with somebody that worked out really well.
Nanyuki in I think a couple of weeks. Looking forward to it. I love the Nanyuki stages. So it'll be a good first rally to be in this car with Raji. I hope that everything goes to plan.
The 2022 KNRC series has been to LB Seal, Nakuru, Eldoret and Naivasha for the ARC Equator Rally and WRC Safari Rally. Current leader Karan Patel has 4 wins under his belt, with Carl Flash Tundo winning the KNRC Safari category. The KNRC Nanyuki rally will start and end at Greystones, which is also the venue for the service park and rally headquarters. Scrutineering shall take place on September 2nd, paving way for action on September 3rd. 3 stages, Mlima Hema, Ole Naishu and Greystones, will be repeated twice for a total competitive mileage of 153.04 kilometers. Clerk of the course Bimal Patel says the designated spectator viewing point will be centered on Greystones. The repeat run on Greystones will indeed serve as the event's power stage, where the fastest drivers will earn bonus points for the championship.
Then all roads should lead to Nanyuki the first week of September there for that particular race. That puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Remember, further details are still available on our website, www.kbc.co.ke. For now, we take a quick breather. We'll be back with the dailies. Do not go away.
Ni kweli. Bosi mtoto mimi sijamuona tangu jana.
Maana yeye ndo babake na mamake. Au mtawa kumadopt.
Siku zote wewe ndo wampeleka shuleni. Mbona leo?
Sasa pia tutabishana kwa sababu ya hili.
Badi hebu toka humu ndani ama ni uvunje mlango. Wataka kufa yeye kwa njaa? Put him down. Smart. Nilifikiria swali la kwanza utaniuliza ni nimeingiaje humu ndani. I see. Put him down.
My baby, my son.
He was stillborn, Dad.
What? Yes. I already told you no. No, there's nothing there for me.
What would you like? I want the same as always. Why do you keep asking when you know I want the same thing every day? I'll get it right away.
But if you like, I can stop looking for
Oh no, that's impossible.
In that case, you need to give me more money to continue the investigation.
Find something that inspires you instead of feeling sorry for yourself all the time. Why don't you help me at the hotel?
What?
Sometimes I wish I never left. Probably JJ would be at a better place right now.
And you were not really there when we needed a mother.
Kuna kitu inaitwa doto za mushana na dreams. So, jua kutofautisha.
Ukitaka kumake money on a side apart from this job, punguza mdomo.
Kunyamaza pia inakuwa ni gharama sana.
Unajua kuongea lugha ya pesa.
Hello?
I'm planning to call a board meeting.
She has already reached. Okay, let me look at the forms, then I'll get them to you via email.
How would you like working with us?
I'm not quite sure how that would work.
We are on the same side.
We're gonna need Millicent on our side.
All right, now let's take a look at what we have on our local dailies. On the front page of the Star newspaper, why Chebukati numbers don't add up. Why Chebukati numbers don't add up, according to Raila Odinga. He says that forms 34A issued at polling stations contradict those uploaded in portal. All right, so we have got an illustration here of figures at center of Azimio case. For example, he's outlining Mombasa, County Vihiga, Bomet, Narok, Muranga, etc., and the forms 34A, 34C, and the variants therein completely outlined there for you on the full page of the front page of the Star newspaper. You can take a look at that story. Kibwana ditches Azimio, joins Kenya Kwanza. Outgoing Makwene governor Kivutha Kibwana yesterday became the latest prominent figure in Azimio la Umoja to defect to President-elect William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza alliance. Kibwana was received by Ruto at the deputy president's current residence in Nairobi. Last month, Kibwana admitted that there have been some quote-unquote small political differences among Azimio leaders from Ukambani. So that is there. Counties demand millions for new governors events that will be taking place tomorrow. All the governors will be sworn in different counties. Many incoming governors are set to start off on the wrong foot after revelations emerged that millions of shillings will be splashed in their swearing-in ceremonies on Thursday. Now, some counties intend to splash in excess of 20 million shillings in the event. Expect little rain this week, Met says in forecast. The weatherman says that some rain is expected at the end of this week. However, northern Kenya, which is ravaged by drought, will not benefit. A principal meteorologist at the Kenya Meteorological Services, Andrew Njogu, said that the coming rain will only reach a few places around Lake Victoria and in Rift Valley Highlands. That is a story there. Activists want Ruto's win annulled over irregularities. They say that it was wrong not to consult with 4 commissioners, and it's now said that they have been christened as Serena 4 and Bomas 3. That's what's now happening here. So the 4 have challenged President-elect William Ruto's win at Khalifa, George Osewe, Ruth Mumbi, and Grace Kamau. They said that Chebukati was wrong not to consult with the 4 commissioners who declined to honor the final results, thereby excluding them from the process. The battle still continues. Women leaders who lost election ask state for jobs. Under the Women Political Leaders Kenya, which comprises women who successfully reached the ballot to vie for elective seats, they asked to be considered for appointive positions. And now former Nairobi senatorial candidate and chairperson of the group, Pamela Ateka, said that women who fought successfully against men at the ballot are great assets. And I think I can also affirm that. Kuria asked court to throw out Raila's election petition. Of course, is one of the petitioners in a cross petition filed on Monday at the Supreme Court. Kuria said that the actions of Azimio leader Raila Odinga through his agents amounted to a breach of national security. And of course, that is in the place of the Supreme Court to decide. And some rather sad note here. Double tragedy as child in arson suicide mission dies. Kelsey succumbed to her injuries on Monday, a day after the incident. The family said that Kesley Mutheu died in hospital Monday, and she was with her mother, Elizabeth Munyalo, when they were lured by Dennis Musyoka to a trap in a suicide murder plot in their car. It's a story that has been trending for a couple of days now. Munyalo was stabbed 6 times by her estranged lover, but managed to jump out of their car as the man set himself on fire, with Mutheu trapped inside on Sunday at about 11 a.m. Young soul taken away because of relationship difference. And finally, Raila, why Chebukati's numbers don't add up. It's a full page of a story here with the different numbers and variants in his argument from different constituencies. You can take a look at that story. It's a full page splashed out here for you to take a look. Of course, that is now the main thing that will be running until 5th of September when the Supreme Court will give the final ruling. Jen.
All right, let's have a quick run through of the front page of the Daily Nation, starting with that particular story concerning the Ministry of Health. And in this particular story, the ministry denies the swine flu outbreak. This is a story that has been covered in proper detail here on page 8, where the Ministry of Health and the health authorities in Nakuru have deferred over the announcement of the swine flu outbreak in the country. And now, according to the ministry, none of the samples, that were taken to the influenza reference laboratory turned out positive for swine flu. However, what they did detect was the seasonal cold and not the swine flu strain of H1N1. And they go on to raise concerns as to why this particular announcement was made. That Dr. Amoth actually said that an outbreak of swine flu is not something that should be taken lightly, and faulted the county for making an announcement without involving the Ministry of Health. However, they did also give some background as to why it could have been this conversation went this way with the swine flu, because the H1N1 virus, commonly referred to as the swine flu, in the past, infections have happened in people who have been in contact with pigs, hence finding this particular relation. But issuing a statement, they said that there is no H1N1 or a swine flu that has been confirmed. And he went on to further say that the announcement now puts Kenya in an awkward position, because now the country has to alert the African Union as well as the World Health Organization, and yet there is no case to report. However, a letter has been written to Nakuru County authorities to put the record straight in regards to this announcement that was made. So that is that in regards to what the Ministry of Health had to say about this particular announcement. On matters education, scramble for limited junior high slots. This is a point of concern, considering there will be over 1.2 million learners who will be joining junior secondary in January of next year, who are now going to be competing with those that will be transitioning from the 844 system to also join Form 1 in the very same schools that they will be attending the studies together. Now, concern has been raised. That story has been covered here on the back page, considering there will be limited number of spaces that cannot fully accommodate this entire number of candidates and learners that will be transitioning to junior high as well as Form 1 from CBC and 844 respectively. Elsewhere, there is an interesting story here. How we plotted Uhuru's downfall. How we plotted Uhuru's downfall. This is a piece concerning Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua, speaking of a meeting that transpired that led to the 2018 truce between Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. He goes on to give the background information and details and reveals a plot that, quote-unquote, culminated in the toppling of Kenyatta as the Mount Kenya kingpin. Quite a story right there. It's covered on page 6 through to page 7 of this particular daily. And finally, the story that I believe is on most of the dailies this morning, the smoking gun in Raila's petition. Here they go on to highlight a number of issues, looking at claims of hacking the IEBC servers to alter results. They point out 56 hackers gained access to IEB servers to alter the results. They also put questions in regards to the number of people who actually turned out to vote. Did the IEBC chair alter these particular numbers? Also, the question of vote inflation. While William Ruto's votes topped by illegally some 217,000 votes to enable him being declared as the final victor in that particular election. Questions around the verification and the tallying, and especially so involving now the other IEBC commissioners. There is also issues raised in regards to hiding the evidence, with questions around whether the results form that were put on the public portal were being manipulated, and also missing constituencies. Did IEBC announce presidential results without factoring in those from 27 constituencies? That story has also been covered here in much detail, which we will be giving you. But first, Regina.
Front page of the Standard, it's all about inside Raila's evidence, so to speak, and Raila, my case in numbers. This article, highlights the 140,028 missing or unexplained number of votes. This particular presidential petition is not just going to go after the votes, but also the process. Then we had the controversial percentage, 0.01. It is not about the percentage, but the number of votes it represents. Then, according to the petition, is that 49.99 is a correct percentage of votes that DP Ruto should have been assigned. Then 33,208, the number of sample voters in 8 counties that were not given 6 ballot papers. In this particular, the just concluded August 9th polls, one each electorate, each member, each person who turned up across the 46,229 polling stations was expected to be given 6 ballots. In this particular petition by Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Lands, it points out that 33,208 persons, a number of people in 8 counties who are not given the full 6 ballot papers. Now, 27 is a number of constituencies whose votes were not tallied and announced at the time of the official declaration. Some of these constituencies include Nyakach as well as Lagdera. So we'll be looking at further details in regard what is contained in Raila's evidence. Now, affidavit revelations from the questioning the figures and the authenticity of Forms 34A to claiming that President-elect William Ruto failed to attain the 50% plus 1 threshold inside Raila's evidence. That's a big read on this particular daily. Matters interest of heart, especially as a parent and a guardian, is a now CS education. Professor George Magoha wants caning back in schools. Reason given by the CS there is that the return of corporal punishment in schools is meant to arrest the rising cases of indiscipline and among learners. When corporal punishment was actually, replaced, so to speak, or rather banned in 2001, and in place the Children's Act entails that we need to protect the children from abuse and violence. Now we are going back and saying that we need to have the cane back in school. There was a lot of controversy around that particular decision there to scrap off or rather ban corporal punishment. But now we are back to this particular conversation. Now, runaway discipline issues, especially in school, have been on the rise for the last 10 years plus, and maybe this is one of the issues that is informing this turnaround in thinking in as far as policy is concerned. Quoted in this particular daily is that we shall not handle children with kid gloves. It is not time for children to dictate what is supposed to be done, and we cannot give children what they want. Walking a very thin line there when it comes to matters of discipline as well as, having sanity in our learning institutions. Yeah, so that's that. Caning may be back in schools. Other than that, the pending bills headache for new governors. Remember, we're going to be having the gubernatorial inauguration celebrations to be televised to you live from at least across 17 thereabout counties there. In total, there are 45, but 2 are yet to have their elections, and these are going to be done on Monday. And you can bet that KBC Channel 1 for Kenya Decides is going to be keeping tabs on that. Jane?
All right. I'd like to just pick up from that particular point concerning education. That's going to definitely be something that parents will have a lot to say about caning being reintroduced. All right, now coming to the back page of the Daily Nation, next year's double intake is expected to severely stretch school resources. Now, they've gone on to give a highlight of some of the schools that will actually be experiencing the highest shortages across different counties. Now, let's start with those counties that will be facing the highest shortages. Kakamega County, needed places are 93,703. Bungoma County, an excess of 83,000. Nairobi, an excess of 83,000 places for kids to be placed. In Nakuru, an excess of 60,000 is needed. Kilifi, an excess of 58,000. Migori, 58,000 as well. Homa Bay, 54,000. Narok, 54,000. Kisumu 50,000 and Busia 45,000. And this is just what is needed, not compared to the actual numbers, because it's based on the schools that are already there. Now, counties that are facing the lowest shortages include Lamu, Isiolo, Taita Taveta, Nyeri, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, Samburu, Tana River, Marsabit, and Garissa, which range between 4,000 and 11,000 places needed. Now, picture that. And of course, there are many other counties that haven't been mentioned, and a surplus of 1.28 million learners that will need to transition to junior high for CBC learners and Form 1 for 844 learners. So this is a crisis in the waiting, considering also next year is when we are set to resume the normal academic calendar year for our students, given it was thrown off for the better part of the last 2 years. So the ministry, however, goes on to say that they are ready to accommodate every learner, given they need to ensure the 100% transition policy is still effected. There will be they of course project a shortage, but they're looking to ensure that the 1,489,144 learners are all placed in schools. So this means they would require at least 29,783 classrooms in almost every institution to ensure that all the learners are accommodated. So we still have a few months to go. It's a wait and see game at this particular point. But again, it will definitely come to a time where we get to witness this particular transition. Victor.
Githongo links Itumbi to rigging plot. Anti-graft czar says that man was part of 56 hackers exposed how Raila votes were stolen. In a 22-page affidavit, the Inuka Kenya Nisisi CEO said that he got information from a whistleblower who was introduced to him by his colleague. Now, the whistleblower alleged that Itumbi led a team of 56 hackers who are believed to have interfered with the August 9th general election. Githongo, a governance expert, claimed that the whistleblower revealed to him shocking details of how, together with others, they were involved in a scheme to interfere and compromise the IEBC electronic voter transmission system. But Itumbi, when contacted, said that actually he dismissed the allegation, saying that Githongo had created a fictional composition and is ready to meet him at the Supreme Court. That is a story that is worth reading as well. Kibwana Diches Azimio Camp joins Kenya Kwanza legal team. He will be among lawyers defending Ruto's win in petitions filed at the Supreme Court. Now, there is an interesting story here. Supreme Court verdict on Odinga petition to determine Uhuru's exit. The fate of President Uhuru Kenyatta's leaving office next month now lies with the Supreme Court as it rules on petitions challenging the election of William Ruto as his successor. Uhuru has remained tight-lipped since the declaration of Ruto as president-elect can only hand over power after the apex court gives its verdict on the matter. He can, however, refuse to hand over, and the swearing in of the president-elect proceeds since this rests with the office of the Chief Justice. The final verdict is, once the final verdict is delivered, there is a statement here by the Law Society of Kenya president, that is Eric Theru, who says that the swearing in can continue in the absence of the outgoing president. This even happened in the United States. Trump decided to fly out while, his predecessor was taking office, and life goes on.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
And actually here they go on to say that this particular elections has triggered the highest numbers of petitions ever filed against the polls agency when it comes to presidential results.
Yeah. So Biden is sitting pretty fit in the office. And that can also happen because I think this constitution actually looked at different scenarios where that can happen. Of course, I don't want to get into it because I'm not a legal expert, but we can all assume why the Constitution put it that way, that it rests with the office of the Chief Justice. In the absence of the Chief Justice, the Registrar of the Judiciary can also handle that matter. So it's all system go, either way. Okay. Wrong start as counties to spend millions for befitting inauguration, quote unquote, befitting inauguration. I'm likely to see how this thing will be. When it goes to a tune of 20 million shillings, inauguration, a function that takes not less than, or even not more than 3-4 hours. You want to splash. All right, it's good to have a party, but think about it. Because actually the Supreme Court, we have got judges across 47 judges already ready to swear all the governors, the senators, actually the governors to be sworn in. And I'm just thinking, why have a small function in your office and it's a done deal? Just thinking. So many incoming governors are set to start on the wrong footing after revelations emerge that millions of shillings will be splurged in their swearing-in ceremonies on Thursday. In what heralds the continuation of wastage of taxpayers' money in the counties, some counties intend to spend in excess of 20 million shillings in the event. Now, many counties have been on the spot over wanton wastage and misappropriation of public funds. How this is going to be tomorrow is also a story that will be worth seeing. And finally here, how Boda Boda operator, quote-unquote, stole his own bike after defaulting loan. Now, charge sheet reads that the rider gave false information to the police. So alishindwa kumaliza kulipa, then hoping the business would earn him good returns. I think it did not go his way, so he decided to, quote-unquote, steal his motorbike, but it was not on his side. Again, over to you, Regina.
Well, now just giving us a quick overview, it seems that this particular daily is totally focused on the presidential petition there. Just looking at the different angles here, there's a whole pull out that is indicating the part of evidence Azimio has presented in court. It has quoted some of the constituencies, the particular polling stations, allegations at 100, numbers range between 100, 120, 60 or 20 votes that were shifted from Raila Odinga and, allegedly given to, rather put in President-elect William Ruto's tally. For instance, we have Kiamba Kawaida Nursery School polling station. 1 out of 5, so it's alleged that 30 voters were deducted from Odinga and added to Ruto. We also have Gatundu North Kamwingi Primary School polling station, 2 out of 6, where 120 votes were deducted from Odinga and added to Ruto. This is just an article that samples some of the evidence that has already been brought forth, or rather we saw be taken up to the Supreme Court at the Milimani Locals just before deadline when it comes to the time allocated to file a presidential petition. This also firming up that IEBC has been accused of changing forms 34A and 34B uploaded on portal. Witness claims that Ruto was added 217,631 votes in form 34C, and this particular witness allegedly says that the presidential result as declared by Chebukati is inaccurate. In the next 14 days, and then we will know the way forward. And the timelines that we are looking at to get that verdict from the Apex Court is September 5th. So we have to wait. Some of the counties that have been flagged by Azimio include Mombasa, Vihiga, Kajiado, Bomet, Kakamega, Narok, Bungoma, Busia, Siaya, Kisumu County, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisii, Nyamira, Murang'a, Marsabit, Trans Nzoia, as well as Diaspora, Nandi, Kericho, Nairobi, Nakuru, Makueni, Machakos, West Pokot, Embu. A total of 271,631 in their respective counties there. Certain number of votes were allegedly moved from the petitioner to the respondent there, where the petitioner here is Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, and one of the respondents happens to be President-elect William Ruto. Now, also farming up compromised servers there, an IT expert. This particular article details on how Githongo there got some documents and shared with an IT expert there, who is an IT security and cryptography expert, who says that from the analysis of the documents that were sent to him by former anti-graft Sir John Githongo, his conclusion is that the IEBC servers were accessed by persons who would delete or alter the documents sent through the servers. A day before we actually took to the polls, we had an exclusive interview run on KBC Channel 1 where the ICT commissioner in charge of matters ICT as far as the IEBC is concerned, Justice Nyangaya, went further to also highlight that, they had noticed some attempts to hack the IEBC portal, but they managed to stem that. We are likely to see further details in regard to this particular utterances and allegations, being that this is one of the issues that has been raised in the presidential petition. Still keeping up with matters, petition and such, we take a step down memory lane and we take you way back in 1992, where Kenya had its first presidential petition. Now, this was also after the return of the multi-party politics, and it was the first time that Kenyans were directly voting in a presidential election. Now, the then president, the late Daniel Arap Moi, garnered 1.9 million of the total votes in a poll that had 7 contestants who definitely, and by virtue of fact, divided the opposition support, with the second runner-up being Kenneth Matiba with 1.4 million votes. Now, a critic of President Moi, Matiba cited massive irregularities in the conduct of the poll, ballot stuffing, outright rigging in his petition, and asked the court to nullify Moi's victory. You'd want to read about the first presidential petition there that was laid out there in 1992, just after Kenya had regained a multi-partyism. So you can take a trip down memory lane to just understand how far we have come as a judiciary and how all this has changed. Court verdicts have changed and reshaped elections. It just did not start in 1992. We have seen that all the way from 2013, what happened, 2017, and here we are in 2022, and we will know come September 5th the direction the Apex Court is going to take in regard to the petitions that are before it, where IEBC is expected to spend big on legal fees as petitions pile up. IEBC is directly funded by the Exchequer, yes. So it is your money and my money as a taxpayer that is enabling the IEBC to actually take that up. So in as far as the audit report for the financial year 2017-2018 is that the legal fees that IEBC incurred went to the tune of 859.3 million for the financial year 2017-2018. Then the commission spent 538 million in the financial year 2020-2021 in legal fees, and 611 million in the financial year 2019-2020, and 610.6 million in the financial year 2019, sorry. So quite a sum there in as far as legal fees are concerned. So before we take a break, Jane, you have more to add on what has been making headlines daily that you have.
There's an interesting piece here, away from all the politics and all the petitions. There's a research that was done by a group of researchers, and the conclusion was Kenyan entrepreneurs are told to embrace snake farming. Are we together?
Take that again.
Kenyan entrepreneurs are advised to embrace snake farming. And researchers went to work, put money into this, and came with this conclusion. And this is based on so many issues. Number one, climate change. Number two, snake bites, as per information that is contained on the World Health Organization website, and it being a neglected public health issue.
I would want to actually chime in on that, or rather add on to that. If you look at the number of deaths and amputation, the cases that have been recorded, that have been recorded in Baringo and West Pokot, over 80-70% are caused by snake bites. And we also have, depleted, we do not have a venom bank per se. And I remember if you took home science, when you're talking about first aid, is that when it was then, if you are bitten by a snake, you need to actually get hold of that snake, whether dead or alive.
They need to identify it.
Yes, so that you can identify the snake, so that the anti-venom can be tailor-made to that particular snake that bit you.
And they actually say that snake bites are one of the most neglected public health issues, especially in tropical and subtropical countries, which are majorly based in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Now, get this, climate change is actually affecting the movement of snakes, because consequently affecting the weather patterns, affecting their environment, and pushing snakes closer to human beings. And this being a reality, entrepreneurs need to look at the whole market of snake venom and also developing anti-venoms, because here they go on to give figures that a snake milker can make around 250,000 per month, and that is now extracting the venom. But now when it comes to selling the particular anti-venom, some go as high as $2,000 per gram. That is 200,000 roughly Kenya shillings per gram of anti-venom, and especially the rare ones, the rare snake bites. So it is something that researchers have actually sat down and said that much as there were lobby groups that were terming Professor George Wajakoya this point of his manifesto as absurd, quote unquote, the word has been used here, and retrogressive, we need to actually look into this.
But again, if you look at it, that's a scientific and specialized kind of venture. Not anyone. You cannot wake up in the morning and say that today I'm going to start. There's a lot that will have to go through that process, because if it's done, a research has been done about it, and we don't have actually serious, readily available anti-venom in the country.
There's actually a shortage.
There's a shortage.
Major shortage.
Yes, so scientifically, if it's well taken care of and coordinated, I think, look at it, it can be a good venture.
There could be economic benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even to the hospitals across the country, because, for example, what Regina said, Baringo and the hot places down at the valley, they face a lot of such issues, because you realize to people who come from those areas, they say that you walk out, when you come back in the evening, you see like 3 or 4 of them resting in your house.
And here they just estimate 5.4 million snake bites a year. And this is just what are reported. So you can imagine, can you be reporting like I've seen 3 snakes today?
No.
You cannot.
I can't remember the last time I saw one, but yes, I can't remember.
Economically speaking, it is an idea that can be taken up. It was a research that was conducted at JKUAT.
Something can be done. Talk of economy. Regina, I'm told that Mombasa remains region's leading port as the vessels increase. Some good projections ahead for the country, right?
Indeed. If you look at, you see Mombasa port being a port of entry, not just for Kenya, but also for landlocked countries like Uganda. And you see, we are, building back better after COVID-19. And this was not just for East Africa, but also for the globe. So trade that had somewhat stalled. And if you look at what happened in 2020, 2021, there was even a said shortage that, containers were not coming in.
Most countries were not importing.
Imports were not coming in. But now you're even seeing more vehicles coming in. I'm sure you have seen that on the road. So business is it's picking up, so to speak.
Kwa lugha ya mtaa wanasema bana kago imekwama huko nje, so you would understand. And actually there's a data which shows that the latest data shows that Mombasa is experiencing a boom in business as vessels numbers continue to increase, even as the country grows through tensed but peaceful election. So it says that in the next 2 weeks there'll be 38 cargo ships that will be docking at the port. And now, what do you say about, because the Res Alam is also giving us a run for our money?
Now, you see, the problem is, the shilling is not doing so well against the greenback. That's that. And that's why you're seeing, there's been a cash crunch in as far as availability of dollars, especially in the run-up to the election. But this tide is bound not onto what is happening here locally, but what is happening in the United States itself, as well as, the GS and Europe, with the uncertainty around, Ukraine and Russia, so to speak. However, as the shilling is doing so bad against the dollar, we are seeing the value of the dollar going up. So this is something that we need to wither. And if I can check actually the trading of the dollar today as per this particular pullout, let's see, we were doing around 100 and let's get the right figure. The currency right now, we're doing 119 on 119, and the euro we have also it ranging at around 180 and 18. However, the sterling pound is at 141. But if you look at even how the tides are changing when it comes to cost of electricity, or rather cost of energy across the globe, fueled by OPEC production and such, we're in for, in terms of international trade, we can only wait and pray that, we remain steady, 119. But if you look at how the stock market, the Nairobi Bourse has been performing, it has held steady amid this uncertainty when it comes to where we are in a political situation. Weeks before we went to the August polls, we had an interview with the NOC chief executive there, Geoffrey Odundo, who was telling investors, especially local investors, in light of there may not have been per se investor flight at the Nairobi Bourse, but it was good. It was a good time for Kenyans, local investors eyeing to just, stock up. You buy more stocks so that after the elections, they're bound to increase their value. I hope local investors who had money on hand did actually invest in that particular line. So for now, things are looking steady. Actually, the point is we are holding steady. Are holding steady. We've not seen what we saw in 2020 or 2021, or even during an election year, 2013
especially
and
during
2017.
an election year.
Yes.
We have always witnessed a crisis down to the prices of unga.
So I think China also plays a key role, because most of our products come from China and the Asian countries. So you'd imagine with the lockdown in those major ports in those Asian countries, we were not able to get the ripple effect was so huge. So Regina, you have given us some hope finally.
Yes, we just hold steady. We just need to hold steady.
We have to, man.
Yeah, you've given us some hope.
We need to hold steady, and also we have seen a change in consumer behavior.
Oh yes.
If you have seen,
I can testify to that.
Right now, a majority of Kenyans, and this I'm talking about the middle class. The middle class is also a majority of them carry the weight of the taxpayers and revenue and business and such. There's been a paradigm shift in their consumer behavior. You'll find that now we are having mini retail shops cropping up within the estates, where people would have otherwise walked to the mall to do their shopping there at the retail outlets. They are going to the mini marts that are within the estate, where you see there's a smaller size of margarine, smaller pack of sugar, trying to make ends meet, because in as much as inflation is way up, what is coming to you at the end of the day still is equally the same. So Kenyans are actually changing how they're spending and what they're spending on.
Things are going.
Actually, I almost said that. How did you just speak my mind, Jane?
Usijali.
Nisitajali. All right.
Economy.
Tutajali. Let's take a break. We are going to the next segment shortly after this. Stay with us.
Kweli? Bosi mtoto mimi sijamuona tangu jana.
Maana yeye ndo babake na mamake. Au mtaka kumadopt.
Siku zote wewe ndo wampeleka shuleni. Mbona leo?
Sasa pia tutabishana kwa sababu ya hili.
Badi hebu toka humu ndani ama ni uvunje mlango. Wataka kufa yeye kwa njaa? Put him down.
Smart. Nilifikiria swali la kwanza utaniuliza ni nimeingiaje humu ndani.
I see. Put him down.
Akili, Akili, this is Akili.
Hey there, friends, what time is it?
What should Akili say to greet little lion?
Wow!
Can you read the word?
Oh! Don't worry, Bush Baby. You can draw it again.
Akili, Akili, this is Akili. She has a secret.
Tell us, tell us.
When the sun goes down, Akili goes to sleep, and she enters a world where all the animals speak.
The only way I can keep you alive is by taking your eyes from you to give to her.
You'll marry her in heaven?
Right. I want the whole world to know that she's my wife.
Lady Loria, I'm begging you. Please don't take me from Floretta Court. Please don't.
Even if you speak up for me, no one will believe us. Not even Genova believes.
Years are gone by since the 1982 aborted coup that had targeted to overthrow President Moi from office. Lieutenant General Lazarus Sumbeyo and his late brother Elijah Sumbeyo, then the presidential escort commander, played a critical role in securing President Moi and quelling the attempted coup.
In 1982, I was posted to the Air Force. I was then at the rank of major. I was promoted to a lieutenant colonel and was in charge of personnel.
Before cockcrow on the fateful August 1st, General Lazarus received a call from his late brother Elijah Sumbeyo, who was then the presidential escort commander.
So at 5 o'clock in the morning he rang. And you know, that time there were no mobiles. We were using telephone. So I picked the phone and he said, "Are you still sleeping?" I said, "Yes, I'm still sleeping." He says, "No, don't sleep. The government has gone." I said, "Gone with who?"
General Lazarus then took off for State House immediately, together with 6 armed military soldiers.
I went to Cabernet, to the State House first, and then to Kabarak. And at Kabarak, I found Mzee very agitated.
When he got there, he immediately asked to communicate with the police headquarters, a thing that did not happen.
They say Nanyuki is not friendly. So I told Mzee, let's get out of this house. We can be bombed. He said, "No, I'll die in my house."
Mzee Moi refused to leave his State House aboard, but eventually convincing and relocating the president in 3 civilian cars with presidential escorts armed to the tooth.
My idea at that time was to connect with the military because they have a system of radios that used to join. We could join into any communication system. But unfortunately, one of the vehicles, the relay system, had an accident in Timboroa. And so we could not we could not relate.
The army eventually neutralized the coup, and the president was taken to State House, Nairobi, where a presidential address had been planned for the President Moi to assure the country he was in charge.
Nataka niseme kwamba yale yaliyotokea leo asubuhi kwa muda mfupi iliyoletea wananchi wasiwasi mwingi sasa imeangamizwa na jeshi letu la nchi kavu na polisi.
From 1997 to 1999, Sumbeyo served as special envoy to IGAD for the Sudan peace process.
I want us to be patient. The parties have promised us that they will sign it today.
I knew a little bit of what was going on. So in 1997, out of the blue, the late President Moi appoints me an ambassador and a special envoy. Not retired from the military, but given this job of carrying out mediation for the Sudanese.
General Lazaro Sumbeyo was the chief mediator of the Naivasha peace process, which sought to resolve the war between the Sudanese government and the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. In July 2002, he led the warring parties into signing the Machakos Protocol, a groundbreaking agreement on the difficult issues of self-determination for the South and separation of religion and state.
Put in a lot of nights without sleep and going to lengths to ensure that the people of that country got peace.
Lieutenant General retired Sumbeyo joined the Kenya Army in 1967 as a cadet officer.
My father had always wanted one of his sons to be in the army. Because my father himself was in the army in 1922 to 1934. And he wanted a son to feel how the army is.
Sumbeyo attended the prestigious Royal Military Academy Sandhurst and rose through the ranks to become the commander of the Kenya Army in 2000.
In 1999, I went to do my master's in international relations in Royal College of Defense Studies. When I came back to the army, I found a very different army, an army that had already deteriorated in discipline. They had lost touch with training, and so I had to think of how to revive this army.
At the time of his appointment, the armed forces was in the flux of changes initiated by the then Chief of General Forces, General Daudi Tonje.
By the time I left the army, it had trained. The army had proper equipment, had proper uniforms, and that's what a soldier is. And discipline had returned.
In addition to purpose and confidence, Sumbeyo brought another critical factor with him as army commander. He brought the army back to basics.
Soldiers were in tatters. They were not the uniform they were wearing. Were torn and of low quality. And the boots were wearing were coming off, the heels were coming off. So nobody was serious about proper equipment.
Lieutenant General Sumbeyo was, in addition to being feared, deeply respected. Hence, he was referred to as ZT or Zulu Tango, meaning zero tolerance.
You must have heard the stories about the army, because when I was in the army, I had a nickname called Zulu Tango, zero tolerance. Officers in the army can attest that I think I made a difference. There was reform, total reform in the army.
Reporting for KBC from Lavington in Nairobi County, Amnesty Imano.
Male genital mutilation is one practice, just in various parts of this country, different counties, with prevalence being in places such as Kisii, Embu, Meru, Taita Taveta, and even Kuria.
Tunataka kuheshimu mila zetu. Lakini ndio tuweze kuheshimu mila zetu, lazima pia tukae na tuseme zile mila ambazo zaumiza watoto wetu tuachane nazo, lakini zile mila ambazo ni za manufaa kwa watoto wetu tuendelee nazo.
The government has also made various strides with the notion of wanting to stop this practice by 2022.
When you instructed us with the Shebesh that the target of 2022 to have 0 cases of FGM is your plan, and we are trying to execute it, but Your Excellency, this cannot be done alone. First, let me thank the elders, because when they signed the declaration in the State House about 2 years ago, that was one of the new things that we, as an intervention, because fighting FGM requires several interventions. One of the intervention is where we brought in elders because they are the decision makers.
In this documentary, we learn about
nilisema nataka kukeketwa. Alishika hiyo maneno kutoka kwa nyanya yake, akaja naye kutuambia ati yeye nataka.
Tulienda tukakeketa msichana mmoja, akamblindi. We sensitized them about the dangers of FGM.
And now, I'm in Tharaka Nithi County to find out if the government interventions are bearing fruits.
Kaire ntige tonga ananka gerero ngabana kaya akandinga mukono ntige tonga ewa kwa mware enwa mugambo ntowe.
I got an appointment with Fides Kithinji, a reformed ex-cutter who practiced FGM for decades. She underwent the cut.
Wakati nilitaidiwa nikiwa mkubwa, sababu si hakuna kampuni. Unajua hii ni kampuni yako sasa. Sasa unaona wewe ukiacha huyu akitairiwa na huyu atairiwe na huyu mwingine, wewe huwezi waachwa peke yake. Sasa unakosa kampuni. Unajua kampuni. Sasa hiyo ndio inaniwezesha nitairiwe, sababu hakuna mtu tunakaa na yeye. Nitakuwa peke yangu.
According to Fides, it was more of a ceremony than an event.
Sasa wakati huu ni wakati wa ule mtani. Ile mwenye kutairi anavaa hivi. Hata ukimwona na njia unajua yeye ni mwenye kutairi. Hata mwenye kutairiwa akiniona anajua ndio ule mtaani. Anaitwa mtaani. Sasa zamani mwenye kutairi alikuwa anaenda akiwa anaimbiwa. Anaimba. Sasa akienda pale ataingia pole na msisana naye hapa ndio mwenye kutairiwa atatokea. Na hii mlango amalisio mambo yake na mimi nitakuwa pale nje. Sasa hii inaitwa kovia mtani. Na hii ni nkio ya mtani. Hii mti inaitwa lamara. Yaani ile pimbo ya mtani. Ukienda kusukua mtani, kama mtu anikujia hapa, kama kuna tumano kama vile vijana. Kijana kama ule anakuja ananiambia tunataka uende ukatairie kwetu. Sasa leta ile pesa unakuja naye ili niweze kutoka. Kiniasia 1,000. Sasa nitampea hii. Ona, ataenda naye akijua mtani akienda atapelekea yule mwenye kutairiwa, mwambie ukiona hii ujua hakuna utabadilika, hata ukikataa tunakushika kwa nguvu.
Poverty made Fides to become a cutter.
Sasa nikaona wacha nione kama nikitairi nitapata pesa. Sasa nikaanja hapo nikafuatilia wale walikuwa na barua. Wajua huku kutairi zamani ilikuwa ukienda kutairi na unaenda unapea chibu pesa. Unakupatia barua unaenda kutairi na. Sasa ukiwa unapata ile barua utaenda hivyo, utakuwa ukienda bila amuke. Asubuhi saa 12 umetairi. Umemaliza na unapewa kitu.
For one to qualify as a cutter, one had to cut at least 10 young ladies.
Wajua, ulikuwa unatairi kisirisiri, hakuna mtu anajua kama unatairi. Unaenda, unatairi, unakujua unatairi, unarundi. Sasa, ukirundi vile, wajua ni kama vile unapewa mtihani unapita. Sasa ukipita, ukikuwa na watu 10 wako, sasa hiyo ndio kama unafunuliwa. Unapatiana ile sakura, wanakura alafu wanakuambia sasa wewe endelea kabisa. Ni kama vile unafanya mtihani wa form 4. Kama ukapita uende university.
Later on the day, I received a call from Sarah Karimi from Kirimangare village, Kanjuki sublocation. She is one of the few women who voluntarily went for the cut.
Nilisema nataka kukeketwa. Ukeketaji ulikuwa mwingi na ilikuwa ni passion. So kama hujakeketwa hauna kampani.
Mtu anakaa for how long yarudi kwa sawa kabisa ile mpaka anaweza toka aende nje atembee aendelee na shughuli zake kawaida?
Utakaa mwezi.
Na hiyo mwezi kwa nyumba ni mambo gani ambayo unafanyiwa? Kama ile kuappreciate. So umetoka from one stage to another stage.
Kiutamaduni kuna mambo mingi walikuwa wanafanya. Utaletwa watu hata kwa kuchape. Uko na kindonda na utachapwa. Utaambua kama ni mambo ya kuheshimu mama mwenye amekuwa supporter wako. Utaambua mambo ya kama unapita njiani ukutane na wazazi wako, unapaa wewe unaingia kwa kichaka, wanapita. Upusi mwingi.
Peer pressure also pushed her to go for the cut.
Wakati niko darasani nilikuwa na stress. Sababu naona wenzangu wameenda kuolewa. Kama rafiki yangu nakumbuka kuna mmoja aliolewa tu vile tu sasa tulirudi mashuleni. Yeye akakuwa tayari alikuwa na boyfriend, lakini sasa vile amepita hiyo section sasa amekuwa sawa. So akakuwa ameolewa, kuna mtoto. Bado mimi hata sijamaliza class 8. Bado naendelea na masomo. So nilikuwa naona ni stress kubwa.
Simon Jaging Kathu is a community leader in Kirimangare village.
Wanajaribu kuendelea ama kuendesha ile utamaduni wao. Hiyo kazi mimi sitaifanya. Maana niliona haina kitu ama haina faida yoyote kwangu. Na kama mtu akija kwangu kuniambia ati nataka barua, uende unishukulia barua kwa chief ama kwa assistant chief ili nipate nafasi ya kukeketa msichana wangu. Hiyo kitu mimi nakataa. Na tena hiyo kama kiendelea na hiyo kazi na nikipata huyo msichana amekeketwa, mimi napiga ripoti kwa authority, alafu majukumu nashukuliwa na serikali. Kusema kweli mimi sioni kama kuna kitu ambayo kiko muhimu sana kwa kukeketa msichana, mbali ni hasara tupu.
A few meters away, I met Grace Josephat, a reformed ex-cutter who practiced FGM for over 10 years.
Kuanzia 1979 tukaenda mpaka hata mimi akanifundisha kukeketa. Akitengenezewa pombe akikunywa akalewa, ananiambia sasa nilikufundisha saa hii ni wewe utafanya hii kazi. Tulienda tukakeketa msichana mmoja akamblindi kwa damu kwa wingi. Nikaangalia nikaona na hii ni maneno ya kufungwa. Nikafikiria, nikaanza kutetemeka. Nikaona hii maneno hii serikali ikijua tutapungwa. Mimi nikaolewa na pastor. Nikiolewa na pastor akaniambia sasa hii maneno sitakubaliana na hii maneno. Hata nikiwa mimi na keketa nilikuwa naona ni maneno sio mzuri
Government interventions to stop FGM has attracted support from non-governmental organizations. We met Faith, Regional Director, Plan International, based in Tharaka-Nithi County.
A lot of progress has been achieved towards eradication of the practice, with a lot of emphasis on working with locals, mainly the role models, women and men that are in support of ending the practice, women that have progressed well in their career and have not gone through FGM, and others that have gone through FGM are career women but are against the practice and have been able to stop the practice in their own families. So those are the people that we've been working with. There are a lot of awareness campaigns that have been held at the community level. A lot of government structures have also been supported, especially strengthening the court users committees, working with the area advisory councils, training the police officers, mainly to ensure that they understand the need for issues of child protection, because FGM falls under violation of children's rights as well as a form of gender-based violence. So as much as there is that much that the organization has done in reducing the practice from 58% in 2014 to 48% as at last year, a lot more needs to be done now that comparing the prevalence in Tharaka-Nithi County and the national prevalence of 21%, we are way above the national average with around 27%. A lot more needs to be done in eradicating the practice, which is quite deep-rooted. And as much as the government is committed to ending the practice in 2022, there is quite some good trial in terms of the government agencies supporting the presidential directive, but there is a lot more that needs to be done by everyone to ensure that the practice is eradicated in 2022.
Some children were actually rescued by Plan International, them that were to undergo the cut, and then they picked them. Those are the girls that they hold seminars for, they sensitize them about the dangers of FGM as a woman, as a girl, and even to the education sector. It's dangerous to them. We've held so many seminars and we've taught well about it, and for sure a large percentage is now in schools as a result of those seminars.
If you compare FGM prevalence, especially across the county, areas where the literacy levels are very high, people have gone to school, people are in church, people are not poor, the FGM levels are very low. But where the poverty levels are high, there are high levels of illiteracy, then FGM is high. So if we fight poverty, then it will definitely address issues of FGM, because parents will have, they will be financially stable. They can be able to take their children through schools. There is that level of exposure that comes up with the improved level standards of living. There is that interaction with the outside world that brings in the natural transformation from embracing the cultural practices that are retrogressive to encouraging education, to encouraging support of education and hence eradication of FGM in an area.
My visit to Tharaka-Nithi County left me with hope. A hope that come 2022, FGM prevalence will be zero. A hope that girls will be given equal opportunity in the society. I will visit Tharaka again.
Despite the development of kitchenware, cookware using modern technology, the art of pottery is still gaining popularity. This week on The Process, we focus on the art of pottery.
So this is malleable clay that we've brought all the way from Kitengela to here.
First things first, malleable clay, meaning foldable, is acquired.
So we take the clay through a process, we sieve it, get some very nice lip which doesn't have any impurities like sand or any roots, and then we dry it on our ceramic beds and get very malleable clay. So we cut clay using a wire cutter.
To mold a piece, the clay is cut into the required size and then transferred to the potter's wheel.
To remove off all the air bubbles.
While at the wheel, it is wedged to remove all the air bubbles. After that, it is then put on the potter's wheel through a process called throwing, where it is then dampened to reduce friction before centering of the clay commences. Centering of the clay requires the clay to be pulled up and down.
Or center the clay by even adding water just to reduce friction. We pull up the walls, open the piece, pull up the walls, and then we get the desired shape that we want. And by doing this, the clay is centered.
Lines are then drawn on the clay to establish that the clay is centered and opened up by putting a hole at the center.
So all the lines were well centered. So right now I'm opening the piece. So I put pressure using one of my fingers. I do a hole at the center and then I pull out the clay.
It is then removed from the potter's wheel using a clean wire cutter and allowed to dry.
The bottom is not very heavy, so I'll just trim it.
Trimming then takes place so as to acquire the desired shape and weight.
Trim the pieces so that we can get the desired shape as well as the desired weight. We don't want very heavy pieces or a little bit of faulty pieces, either on the rims or even on the final piece.
The pieces then undergo a drying process by letting them sit out.
So we take the pieces through drying, and which is a very natural way of drying. So depending with the size of the piece, the smaller they are, they take a shorter time. The bigger they are, they take a longer time. So we leave them out, and at times we have to slow down the process of drying by covering them up with polythene. But that is for the very big pieces when you don't want them to develop cracks. So I'm going to arrange these pieces in our kiln.
After letting them sit out, the pieces are traversed to the electric kiln where they're fired up. After placing the pieces in the electric kiln, the pieces undergo a process known as water smoking.
I'll leave the kiln open just slightly at the top, and also the plugs will be open just to allow any moisture to come out, and that is called water smoking.
After 12 hours, the fired up pieces are removed from the kiln. After the pieces are hardened by heat, they're now referred to as ceramic or bisque. The bisqueware then undergoes glazing, which involves the use of metal oxides to paint, dip or spray the pieces. After glazing, the pieces are then returned to the electric kiln and heat up so as to achieve the final product.
Very safe metal oxides. So we either dip, we spray, or repaint the pieces. And then we get our glazed pieces like this. This is a glazed piece, which we are going now to return back to the kiln. Fire it for like 12 hours at a higher temperature of 1100 degrees Celsius, and now get the final products.
The final products are now ready for market. Jackie Wambiru, The Process.
Ni kweli. Bosi mtoto mimi sijamuona tangu jana.
Maana yeye ndo babake na mamake. Au mtaanza kumadopt.
Siku zote wewe ndo wampeleka shuleni. Mbona leo?
Sasa pia tutabishana kwa sababu ya hili.
Badi hebu toka humu ndani ama ni uvunje mlango. Wataka kufa yeye kwa njaa? Put him down.
Smart. Nilifikiria swali la kwanza tunauliza ni nimeingiaje ndani.
I see. Put him down.
The only way I can keep you alive is by taking your eyes from you to give to her.
You'll marry her in heaven?
Right. I want the whole world to know that she's my wife.
Lady Loria, I'm begging you. Please don't take me from Floretta Court. Please don't.
Even if you speak up for me, no one will believe us. Not even Genova believes.
Beyond this control, Makuapa, how can you say kneeling down and lifting your hands in the air and saying, I am sorry 10 times is beyond this control?
You want fake money, utanjipata pambaya.
Wait, come in. Who told you it's fake? You know I don't deal with fake money.
Then wait for your suspension letter at the principal's office.
Suspension for just saying I don't like the student leadership. FIFA!
Kinyaji tuache kulia ama tuendelee.
Is the leading exporter of Black City in the world. However, due to price volatility, diversification has been embraced in the tea sector, with processors investing in orthodox, purple and green teas because of higher returns.
Before one takes a sip of golden tea, a long and tedious process is involved. But before we get to the tea making process, it is important to note that there are different types of tea. Our focus is on the making of orthodox tea, which basically refers to loose leaf tea produced using traditional methods, hence the name orthodox.
Orthodox tea is a way of processing tea. There are many ways of processing tea. But in orthodox tea, that leaf is rolled. We use a rolling machine and not a cutting machine.
In a nutshell, it involves plucking, withering, rolling, oxidation or fermentation, and drying. In Mathioya, Moranga County, to commence the process, plucking, also referred to as tea harvesting, is done by hand, especially among smallholders, or the use of machinery is employed. In this region, hand picking is preferred to mechanization.
There are machines that will only be applicable on areas where the terrain is ideal. Otherwise, where it is very steep, we will still, of course, be working on hand picking.
Tea harvesting involves the removal of the tender growing shoots from the surface of the bush, and producers can choose between fine and coarse plucking.
For 2 leaves and a bud, and a soft one, because that will give a better quality at the factory. Now, the process of picking is to remove the shoots before it gets too long. And ideally is because when you remove the good shoots, a bud develops to become another shoot. So if you let your tea overgrow, you'll be wasting in that you cannot sell this bit here.
From the tea plantations, we head to Central Highlands Kiriti factory, where tea leaves are received at the tea collection center. Freshly harvested tea leaves are transported to the factory in open lorries to ensure aeration in order to retain the color and freshness of the leaves. Here the quality of the green leaf is checked, sampling of each bag, foreign matters are removed, and loads of 10 bags are weighed and conveyed to the withering section. The leaves then undergo the withering process, which involves spreading the leaves thinly on troughs or wire netting, which allows free access to air. There are two types of withering: open withering and closed withering. The open type of withering is the natural way of extracting moisture from the leaves. The average length of time for withering is 18 to 20 hours, where troughs are used. In modern trough withering system, 16 to 18 hours is the duration of wither with normal ambient air. In rainy season, to improve the surface moisture, heaters are used along with fans for 2 hours.
Once we spread the leaf, we open it, we blow in air from. Depending on the prevailing weather, we can use warm air or just natural air.
After achieving satisfactory wither, the leaf is ready for rolling. The machine twists the leaf, breaks it up, and expresses the juice, substrates, and enzymes.
What we do here, we separate, we open up those balls to expose the leaf further to the air.
Fermentation then takes place. Sifted leaves are spread out in thin layers on perforated aluminium trays in order to continue the oxidative process. The sifted leaves are transferred into the oxidation chamber for 5 hours. Here the leaf changes color and turns into a dark coppery tone. Typical aroma develops at this stage.
After 5 hours, we take it to the drying area for drying or reducing now the moisture. The fermentation, we control 3 things: relative humidity, we control the temperatures, and we also control the type. We set temperatures depending on the type of tea, the amount of moisture before we took it in, also depending on the ambience.
After fermentation, drying takes place. The dryer is preheated at 150 degrees Celsius. Here moisture, enzymes, and microbials are reduced.
The first intention is to arrest the enzymes or to stop the oxidation process. That is why we preheat the dryer before the tea goes to the dryer. We preheat it to 150 degrees. When the tea gets into that hot plate, the enzymes are destroyed, so you stop the oxidation process. Another thing is to destroy any microorganisms within the tea itself. We don't wash the leaf when it comes, we just start processing it. But at 150 degrees, there is no microbial that is going to survive.
Every hour, a moisture content, among other tests, are carried out. Grading is carried out on mechanically oscillated sieves, similar to those used in green leaf stage and fitted with meshes of appropriate size.
By looking at the leaf, I'll tell whether it has been well graded, whether it has been properly fired, whether it has been properly rolled. Because the cup is white, I should see the color of the liquor remaining on the cup. So that will tell me the thickness. So I'll atomize the tea within the mouth. So the reason I'll pull that like that, it is to get the flavor of the tea in the mouth. I also pull it to taste with all my taste buds.
Finished grades are then stored appropriately.
And this is how we do it. We package it, each grain in its own packet. The weight per bag vary per grain, but it's between 35 kilos to 65 kilos for our kind of teas. So we package it, and this is how now we get the tea to the market.
Reporting for The Process, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
It is commonplace to have household items, vehicles, or even homes go under the hammer. But certainly not so for aircrafts. November 17, 2021, at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
90,115, bidder number 3. Bidder number 3, 115.
It is auction day.
416.
And they are all here, ready to fly back home, literally speaking. This following a Kenya Airports Authority notice to auction 73 junk aircrafts spread across Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Moi International Airport Mombasa, Wilson Airport, and Lokichogio Airstrip. Big and small planes, all with varying wear and tear. But why would anyone want to buy a junk plane?
276. 276 for the first time. 276 for the second time.
And here comes the hour.
95 bidder number 2. 97. 197. 198.
At the end, the winners celebrate.
Mine I want to take for tutorial purposes. I would want the upcoming engineers and pilots to benefit from the same, so I'll keep it for that purpose.
And every auction provides indirect opportunities.
We are representing our client just to observe the process, to find out if there are any other airlines which would need support in terms of legal services and regulatory services.
I've been successful. We have purchased 3 of them, one jet, another one cargo, another one for local flights. The cargo one is for business, the other one for personal use. The jet one is going to be for personal use.
According to the Kenya Airports Authority, the planes are being auctioned because they are out of air service and they are occupying space that is meant for air traffic services and ground handling services, which breaches safety and efficiency of aircraft operations. Out of the 17 planes on sale at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, 13 were bought. The owners, through Gazette notice, were expected to clear any outstanding bills and reposition their aircrafts appropriately. Those being auctioned have not complied with that notice, and thus aircraft not airworthy. This isn't the first time that Kenya has tried to clear away unwanted aircraft. Flashback 2 years ago. A similar auction was held in 2019 where the Kenya Airports Authority auctioned off 7 aircraft among 12 planes abandoned by owners. 4 days ago, we followed up on one such plane and find it at Kitengela's Club 034. We speak to the club manager.
We brought up this plan so that maybe we come up with something new. At least we have something new, maybe in Kenya, or I can say East Africa. It's a restaurant.
Tell us about that.
Stroke club.
While it is unlikely that any of these aircrafts auctioned here will ever fly again, this is a bargain that the buyers are willing to take. Reporting for KBC at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Imano.
All right, good morning and welcome back. Now let's talk about women and politics, women who shape the political scene and leadership of this country. We are still heading there. We have got a number of them who made it to the gubernatorial seats, and as a country we still need to do more and even better. But another lady who is also making her second comeback to the National Assembly is Elsie Muhanda, who is the woman representative, or call her member of parliament, Kakamega County, and she's here with me in studio. Congratulations. Let me start with that.
Thank you very much, Victor.
And welcome to our studios.
Yes.
How was the campaigns?
First of all, I want to thank the people of Kakamega.
Yes.
For believing in me. You know, all times, Victor, they say the second time is not as easy as the first one. So I just want to thank them, and I want to tell them that I will work for them the way I worked for them. And I want to say that my campaigns were not difficult. Why I would say so is because I had done my work. So I just campaigned in a relaxed way. In fact, I'll tell you, I put on 8 kilos. And people...
During campaigns?
Yes. And you know, people lose weight.
Yes.
Because I was relaxed and I was confident, because when I came in, I'll tell you, one of the MPs who was doing the second term, I asked them, Siri ya urembo ni nini? And the MP told me, when you come in, start working from the beginning. But if you wait for the next 2-3 years, the public make their opinion.
Yes.
In the first 2 years, the public have made their opinion whether they are going to vote you or not. So I took that MP's advice and I worked for the people. So I think it wasn't so hard. So the people of Kakamega believed in me and they voted for me unanimously. I got over 300,000 votes.
That's a huge number.
Yes, and those who followed me got less than 100. They got, one got 67, another one 64.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's now back to work on a second term. I believe there's a lot of projects that you started as a woman rep in your first term, and now the people of Kakamega again have given another chance to have the reins of power in second term. Perhaps let's just go back. What are some of the hits and misses in the first term in your office?
Thank you very much. One of the hits, I took boreholes as a flagship project.
Yes.
I said I must have 60 boreholes in Kakamega County. And you know, our funding for women rep is not a huge fund. So I struggled very much and finished the 60 boreholes. I went to the Lake Victoria North. I went to the Ministry of Water. It wasn't easy because I committed, but my funding could not have finished the 60 boreholes. But fortunately, I did finish the boreholes. And you know, when you do boreholes, there are certain constituencies like Lugari where the terrain is so bad. So when you don't get it right, of course, the people are not happy that you didn't finish those boreholes. So I had to redo, and that costed quite some money. So I'm happy about the flagship project of boreholes. And equally, you know, as a woman rep, we don't get a lot of money, but our money is meant for affirmative action in the society. So one of what I'm proud of is the girl child. You know, the rate of pregnancy in Kakamega is very high.
Yeah.
So I decided that this girl has to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I've managed to take back these girls to school. Some of them are even in university.
Mm.
So I'm happy that I'm here because I can now walk with them the journey past university.
Yeah.
So that is one of my flagship programs, which I'm very happy about.
Mm.
And another one is giving seed and fertilizer to the poor people.
Mm.
You know, Governor Oparanya has a program of Mbegu na Mbolea subsidized to the people of Kakamega.
And because Kakamega is quite a productive, county, so to speak.
Yes.
Yes.
And me as Mama County, I was looking in affirmative action, the one that has that point, a small piece of land,
yeah.
They can't even afford that fertilizer that is subsidized and the seed. So that is one program I was very happy to see Wananchi showing me, Mama County, from this bag of seed, I harvested 5 bags of maize. So that is one of the flagship programs that I'm very, very happy about. But on a low level, I feel for the girl child because as women rep, we wanted to give sanitary to all schools.
Yeah.
But then the program was taken to Ministry of Education. So as a woman, I'm here, I want to help, but I can't help all schools. I can only help a few schools. Yet I would want every girl to go to school, not to miss school because they lack sanitary or to use crude things that for sanitary. You know, they're in the village, they take they take all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish the girl can get sanitary. So I feel so bad. I do this program, but I can't get to all the girls.
2022 was an interesting year. When you talk about, the politics that dotted the countries, it's called the transition kind of politics and campaigns. We are getting to the new regime altogether. And we've seen an upsurge of women leaders getting different positions. You must be so happy as a woman representative.
Yes, I'm very proud of what I've seen across the divide.
Yes.
You know, as a woman, I shouldn't be looking that this lady is from Kenya Kwanza or this lady is from Azimio. But I'm very happy that now we have 7 governors.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Up from 3.
Yes, up from 3. We have Gladys Wanga, and I think 2 of them are women reps because we have Gladys Wanga, Homa Bay, we have Mwangaza in Meru.
Wavinya Ndeti across the county here, Machakos.
Yes, Wavinya Ndeti.
We have Nakuru.
We have Nakuru.
Yes.
And we are happy. We have Ses, Mbarire, and the like. So we can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I just hope that Kakamega, Kakamega, in our conservativeness, we have never had a woman MP, even an MP.
And this now poses a challenge even to you.
Yes.
All right?
Yes. So I think women, we are getting into better and better place. And I want to thank you men for supporting us women.
And that is why this takes me to the next question, because the issue of affirmative action and the 2/3 gender rule, it has been stuck all through.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of bills still pending in Parliament which have not been enacted.
Yes.
So why don't you just do away with the 2/3 gender rule pending in Parliament, and then, okay, women can make it. Now you can throw yourselves in the arena and fight it with your fellow men in the political arena as well.
I think it's a bit too early because if I look at my county assembly, we have only 3 women out of the 60. And equally, I feel that me as a woman rep, this seat of women rep has helped grow women. You see now, women are growing to be governors.
Yes.
So I feel, let us continue a little bit. Yes, I think it's a bit too early.
When you talk about funding, and that is the biggest issue, even before people went for an election, the High Court ruled that the CDF fund was null and void and it was unconstitutional.
Yes.
I don't know whether it is going to be first order of business once they're sworn in. I have no idea. But what is the current figures given to the women representative?
Currently, as a woman rep, we get 7 million per constituency per year. Unlike an MP who gets 130 million and then probably gets more for roads. So MPs will end up with about 150 something if you add the money for the roads. But when the woman rep gets the 7 million, 1 million stays at the headquarters for administration, and another million is for administrative purposes and the like. So you end up like 5 million per constituency. So like me in Kakamega County, that is about 60 million to do all your programs, to do affirmative action on education, because me as Mama County, I'm proud of I have Eagle Scholars, I have orphans I've taken back, the ones who did very well. I'm taking care of them. They got A-, they were stuck at home there from very poor families. I've taken them back to school. I feel CDF should not be scrapped. I feel affirmative action should not be scrapped. Why I say so is that if we go back to the dark days of the Moi era, Harambes were too much, and equally, this money was given according to who voted where. But now, CDF goes to everybody, whether you are in opposition or you are in government. Even these governors, I think that was a big step, because now money comes. Nobody can say that if you are in opposition, you will not get money. We have 48 distinct governments, which is a really good thing. And I think we should continue with CDF. I look at members of parliament in Kakamega County. Most of them have come back. Because of that CDF, they have built good buildings, the schools there. And equally, I admire, like in Kakamega, I admire my MP for Huisero, because he has even a feeding program for the children.
Is that Honorable Seka?
Yes.
All right.
Because you know, when you go to the village at lunchtime, children are coming from school. They have nothing to eat. You can see their stomachs, they are very hungry. But he has made sure that the children get maize and beans, at least a cup. That makes them even go to school. So I think an MP with nothing is not going to help.
But again, much as you are, drumming up support for the reintroduction of the CDF, but the Office of the Auditor General, pointed a bit of some sticky fingers in terms of the management of that fund.
Yes.
Some are being lost through corruption and, being used for unplanned projects. What should you talk about that?
I think what we should do is that we should have those funds, but then we should have close scrutiny.
Yes.
I think we should put legislation that guides the funds, because I know of cases where I've heard of even an MP taking the bursary money and using for something else, and not giving the members of the public. But you see, if you look at the good, let us always, many times we look at the bad part.
Just look at the bad side of everything.
Yes, right. But if we look at the good side, this money has really assisted. And also, if you look at us as members of parliament, on a normal day, when you wake up, at your gate, there are so many members of the public asking for school fees, so many members of the public asking for hospital bills and the like. So, when they ask for school fees and you have the CDF, at least you have resources to help your people. But without that, it's going to be very hard.
Because I would imagine that once they're sworn in, the first order of business in Parliament will be that. Because the way you correctly put it, there's a lot of projects and programs, and people have got individual issues and problems to talk about during their daily lives in the county. But then the pending elections in the county of Kakamega and Mombasa, and 2 wards and 2 constituencies, a lot of questions were raised on why this did happen. What do you say about that?
First of all, we received that news with a lot of pain.
Yes.
And shock. And we were just saying, Chebukati, we can't breathe. Because it cannot have been a coincidence that Kakamega County where the deputy party leader of Raila Amolo Odinga comes from, and Mombasa County, where Governor Joe, who is also a deputy party leader. How could it be that these were the two counties where we could not do election? In fact, that is where we started seeing mischief in Chebukati. Because we know very well that people were paid hefty money to go and verify. How it can be that the inside is correct but the top is not correct? We already smelled a rat, and it was very painful even to members of the public, and I really feel for these governors because you know campaigning is very expensive.
Yes.
And really, if you have to continue campaigning after that and you are stopped at that time, you know, when we are having a national election, Victor, people come from Nairobi. I met most of my friends that come home to campaign and to vote, but now that denied them the chance. In fact, they were telling me, oh my God, we are not going to get permission to go back to vote. We are also not going to have resources to go back to vote. So the people of Kakamega and Mombasa have been denied a chance. And then to add insult to injury, when they had been given another date, again Chebukati just comes, and we are told there were other forces. Cannot prove that, but it was said that other forces told him, Chebukati, stop, put another date so that we can continue, you know, our monkey business, and then we set another date later, you know, trying to control us. So it was very painful for us, but I want to urge the people of Kakamega and Mombasa, let us not give up.
What was the voter turnout like during the last election, 9th of August?
There was actually voter apathy caused by this. If you compare the turnout of August 9 and 2017, Governor Oparanya's figures showed us that this time it was about 60-something%. But in 2017, the voter turnout was over 75%. So you see, this affected the voters. And that is what we were saying. It was like a calculated move by Chebukati to suppress the voter in Kakamega and to suppress the voter in Mombasa. And he managed for a bit, but he did not manage to make his candidates win. In Kakamega, Raila Amolo Odinga won clean. In Kakamega, we have 10 MPs out of 12. In Azimio, 9 are ODM and 1 is DAP. So that is 11, and me as a women rep. So we have 11. And MCS, we have 60 wards. We have gotten in Azimio 48. We have election going to happen in Mumias West, and we are confident that that one is also an Azimio zone. We are going to get another seat. So Kakamega, I will say, is an Azimio zone.
Okay. All right. Based on what you've said, clearly the people of Kakamega voted Azimio. But then the issue of primary health care, Mheshimiwa, the primary health care in Kakamega is wanting. With all the 12 sub-counties, the constituency in Kakamega County, a majority of people do not get the primary health care, even at the lowest point of the counties. What would you attribute this to?
I don't know whether we can say they don't get, because under Oparanya's government, we have community health workers, because you see, that is some community health workers are very key in primary health care, because they assist at the lower level. And I'll say Kakamega is one of the counties which has community health workers. And they have they actually earn some money from the county. So I'll say we are actually trying with that. And as you know, on the other level, we have the Kakamega Referral Hospital, which is underway. And
it has told that that's worry you.
Yes, but gladly I've heard there's an investor who is interested to take it up, which is...
Did it have to be an investor coming in, or it should be a county government affair? Because let's look at the western side, Kenya, the block itself. A majority of people would travel, pass through the office just right in front of the Kakamega office, heading to MTRH in Eldoret.
Yes. It cannot be complete just for the county. Because if you look at Eldoret referral, it was funded from the national government.
Yes.
But because we have been in opposition, we did not get funding from the national government, the way the referral was built. So we need help. And I want to thank Oparanya for that initiative.
Yes.
But he just wants a boost from the national government so that we can, and also plus the investor. So that at least our people don't have to go all the way to Eldoret. They can get that particular hub, can get services from Kakamega.
Mheshimiwa, there was some cost that the seat of the woman representative was supposed to be scrapped. I don't know, what is your take? Do you think it should still be scrapped off completely or should remain?
Personally, I look at this seat as a training for women to help the two-third agenda, and it was brought because of that. And I think it has its clause, if we follow the way it was presented. The last women reps should be elected 2027 because it had a 20-year window.
Yes.
Personally, I feel this seat has helped nurture women because out of this seat, now we have women MPs. Even now, some of my colleagues are going to be MPs. Talk about Rosa Abuyu, is going to be a women MP. Even Lamu, we have Rueda, Captain Rueda has moved on to be an MP. So I feel it's a good ground. And even me as a women rep, I know it doesn't have a limit. But I think having done twice, it should also nurture me to other,
to the next
move
level.
on to the next, and I leave it for another woman, so that another woman can also use it to step up. Because you know the problem with women, Victor, and politics. Most of the challenges, like in Kakamega, is traditions. But since the people of Kakamega have now seen me as a leader, I'm sure they can elect me as an MP or any other seat.
Yes.
Yes, and another problem that women have is funding. You find that women don't have land, they don't have title deeds to take loans. So you find funding is a limiting factor to women. So this one is a good playing ground for women to grow and spring up to other heights.
Okay. Do you have a supplementary budget, maybe from the revenue collection from the county? Kakamega gets one of the biggest lion share after Nairobi, almost 18 billion shillings annually, if I get it right.
They get 15, but they're going to get 18.
18.
Yes.
That is an improvement. What would be your short, medium plan in terms of development as a woman representative?
As in the governor's budget or mine? You know,
your
now,
budget.
My
yes,
5 million.
before I get to the county revenue.
Yes, for me, what is important, I think people voted me back because they liked my programs. So what is key first? Short term, I must go back to the people and do public participation before I decide, because they're the ones who gave me the seat. They decide for me if they want me to continue with the seats, which they have already told me during the campaign, they want to continue. They even wish there was more money so that I can help more people. They just said that those who got, let others get. That's what they were telling me. Let everybody feel as much as it is not so much money. So short term, I'll go back to them. And if they do approve my projects, like the seed one, like the girl child, like the orphan, which I think they will support, like helping groups, empowerment of groups. And also there is a good program that I do. You see, we have this group of people, Victor, who got D+, and who are desperate in the society. So I decided to take them to NITA so that they can be self-employed.
Yes.
And after that, you empower them. So one of my short term, which I'm going to do, I have a group that has graduated. So in the short run, when we get funds, I want to give them, if there is one who did tailoring, I want to give her a sewing machine.
Yeah.
If there is one who did carpentry, I want to give them tools and some small capital so that they can be self-employed. So that is one of my short term. And short term, of course, I have to continue paying fees. Like now, I've already been alerted that my children that went to university want to be chased, so I have to write notes as I wait for funding. I want to continue with the girl child. Some are in Form 2, Form 3. I want to continue with those. And also that seed program, really. Yeah.
You have an election next week.
Yes.
What should you expect from Kakamega County, to be specific?
If I was one Cleophas Malala, I would be very worried.
Why?
Why I would be worried? Fighting in a county where 48 MCAs are fresh from an election and they are Azimio. 10 MPs are Azimio and they are now going to hold their territories. They are fresh, people are happy with them. You see, me, Mama County, I got overwhelming support. I would be a very worried person, and I think it's really an uphill task for Malala. I know he's very active. He's young. He's campaigning everywhere, but it would worry me. So I do see that the election of Monday, Azimio will carry the day. Because Fernandez Baraza has a lot of backup from all these MPs, and most of them are second term. And they are all coming to the ground, and they are all campaigning for Fernandez. But Cleophas Malala has only 2 MPs to campaign for him with a couple of MCS.
Election can go either way. We've seen a couple of MPs who've been flawed by people who are, not seasoned politicians. And for example, Governor Kiretu Murungi, we all know what happened, and a couple of governors. So the same can also happen in Kakamega County.
Correct. That's why I just said I would be worried. I'm not, I would be worried as Cleophas Malala, but all is in the hands of the voters. But when you look at Kakamega County, equally, it was a bit disappointing for Kenya Kwanza. I saw members of the public complaining that why is it that Khalwale is more senior and he has been denied governorship. And on the other hand also, when I talk to the people in Kakamega, there are quite a number saying that it is good to get Khalwale as a senator. By the way, Khalwale was voted across the divide.
Yeah, the bullfight is back.
Azimio people, just like my nephew Sakaja in Nairobi was voted by everybody. So Khalwale, they say, is best placed to check a governor who is on the opposite side and who is Fernandez Baraza. But now they say if Khalwale is a senator from Kenya Kwanza and Cleo Malala is also from Kenya Kwanza, they say they're not sure that...
You've just given me a complete scenario of why they say all politics is local.
Yes.
All right. You are getting sworn in tomorrow.
Not being sworn in. We are doing orientation.
Orientation.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow and Friday.
All right. What should expect from you? 10 seconds?
What should
expect in the next 5 years?
Oh, the people of Kakamega.
Yes.
I just want to tell the people of Kakamega County, I just thank them for voting me back. And what they expect is that this is a woman rep who is more experienced. This is a woman rep who knows how to knock doors in Nairobi, because this money is not enough. You must look for money from other people. So they should expect that me as Elsie Muhanda, 2017 to 2022, I was like sugarcane the plant, the first one. But now, 2027 to 2022 to 27, I'm like Ken, which is Ratoon.
Yes.
You know the second plant, now you are more experienced. So they should expect more action. And in the first term, I was more active on the ground, not inside Parliament, because I went to look at the vote. But now,
you're ready.
Expect me to be ready on the floor of Bunge and also Mashinani.
Mheshimiwa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. We had a very short time. That was a quick fire kind of interview with Elsie Muhanda, woman representative. Call her MP or woman representative, Kakamega County. They are going to the ballot come next week on 29th, and she said that all right, it will be the Azimio way. Either that will happen, the voters will decide in Kakamega County. Thank you so much for coming, and promise you'll be back on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a break. Jen will be up next with the next segment. Good morning.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu.
What did you just say? Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewe.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
My baby, my son.
He was stillborn, Dad.
What?
Yes. I already told you no. No, there's nothing there for me.
What would you like?
I want the same as always. Why do you keep asking when you know I want the same thing every day?
I'll get it right away.
But if you like, I can stop looking for
it. Oh no, that's impossible.
In that case, you need to give me more money to continue the investigation. Find something that inspires you instead of feeling sorry for yourself all the time. Why don't you help me at the hotel?
What?
Ni kweli. Bosi mtoto mimi sijamuona tangu jana.
Maana yeye ndo babake na mamake. Au mtaanza kumadopt.
Siku zote wewe ndo wampeleka shuleni. Mbona leo?
Sasa pia tutabishana kwa sababu ya hili.
Badi hebu toka humu ndani ama ni uvunje huu mlango. Wataka kufa yeye kwa njaa?
Put him down. Smart. Nilifikiria swali la kwanza utaniuliza ni nimeingiaje humu ndani. I see. Put him down.
Welcome back. We continue with our conversation around women and leadership and politics. And right now we also have another young lady with us on set. This segment is Women in Leadership. She is Emma Akinyi Ogola. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
She was a women rep candidate in Siaya County. Big step. Before we get to that, maybe how can our viewers find you on social media?
On social media, my personal account is Emma space Q alafu Akinyi.
All right. So if they can interact with you on that platform.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But remember, we are still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. So let's come to your journey. I mean, you are one of the youngest candidates to have participated in this just concluded elections. And you went for the women rep position. Why this particular position?
This particular position because I have passion for women, passion for developing women, bringing development to our women, young women. Yeah, there's a lot that women go through. So I felt that I was the right person to bring that development to them.
Did you get any opposition by virtue of being a young woman?
Yeah, of course there was. Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah,
In
you
what
find
form?
that most people, whenever they see you there, they just feel like, oh, this one is just a prostitute looking for clout, chasing clout, looking for fame, and yeah, basically. But that was not the case. Of course, I was for a good cause, and just to bring development to our people.
All right.
Yeah.
So when did you get on this political journey? Because looking at the women position, it is an elective position.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up and say, today I want to vie for this particular elective post. Tell us a bit about your journey in line with politics.
In line with politics, I started politics while in campus. I was at the University of Nairobi, and I was the SecGen for WASWA. WASWA is Women's Student Welfare Association. I can say that's where I started the passion for women stuff, yeah. So that's where I started, and then after university, while I was still in campus, I registered this organization that is basically for community development. It didn't work much, it didn't perform a lot. And then after that, I joined national politics. I decided to contest for women rep positions here at county.
Okay. So why, again, looking at the many elective positions, and especially for someone who is just new in the political space and trying to venture up, why this particular women rep seat as opposed to any other elective position that maybe would be a good starting point?
I evaluated all the positions, and I felt like women rep was the best one for me. Yeah, and it is still the best.
Still remains to be the best.
Yeah.
Now, you were among the 7 candidates that were contesting for this particular county women member of parliament representative seat in Siaya County.
Yeah.
And you emerged 3rd position.
Yeah.
Out of 7.
Yeah.
What was the reception when you announced your candidacy in Siaya County?
The reception was good. It was good at first, and then yeah, but most people felt I was young. Some felt I was just chasing clout. I guess those are the major challenges. And then, of course, you're being called names. Whenever they see you with these male politicians, they just feel you're a prostitute. Yeah, so... Yeah, but basically the reception was good, especially amongst the youths. And most women also embraced me. They felt like I'm their daughter. They need to have, okay, basically a daughter always takes care of the mother and the whole family. Yeah, so I can say the reception was good. And next time we'll give it next time we're going to take it.
So you still do intend to contest for this particular same seat come 2027, or should this particular seat fall vacant?
Yeah, we'll contest in 2027. Yeah.
Now, looking at your personal journey, considering it's your first attempt at women rep position, you emerged 3rd out of 7 other candidates. You had a total of 7,447 votes, and you were vying under a Maendeleo Democratic Party ticket. Why did you choose to associate yourself with this particular party?
Well, actually, at first I was in ODM. I wanted to contest with ODM because ODM is the party
dominant
back home.
Party.
Yeah, dominant party back home. So, but by the time they were doing the nominations, I didn't have the nomination fee. I wasn't prepared. And the Maendeleo Democratic Party, I have known the party for some time. I know the party leader. is my friend, so he offered me a direct nomination ticket free of charge. That's why I went for that party. Yeah, I really wanted to contest, but then I didn't have enough cash to pay for nomination fee and such stuff by that time.
So looking at Kenyan politics and just the virtue of finances being a very huge factor when it comes to campaigning and politics, what are the aspects of the Kenyan political space and Kenyan politics that you think are a challenge for many young women who are trying to get into elective politics and just the political space as a whole?
Majorly is just finance, because you find that most people are not even ready to finance you. Some feel you're just a joker. You're just like the way I said earlier, you are clout chasing, you're just looking for men, such stuff. Yeah, and then apart from that, yeah, majorly those are the main challenges.
But looking at this concerns that the electorate are saying about or what they think about young women in politics, are they grounded on anything?
Not on anything. They're just insinuations. Yeah.
And what can we do to change this narrative? Because again, we argue that the youth are not very active in politics, but also for those that are attempting to get in, they seemingly seem to have a hard time just listening to your story.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but people are changing, things are changing. Like you say, I like Rift Valley people. They are they vote for someone based on based on the ideas and not money. But in Sia, for instance, if you don't have money to give those people, they'll just tell you to your face that we are not voting you until you give us something. So if you don't give them something, they don't vote for you, which is so bad, because at the end of the day, these people will not bring development. They'll just go there to get back their money, the money that they used during campaigns.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a bit about women in Siaya County. Looking that you are hoping to represent them in Parliament, what are some of the challenges that you noted are a big problem in Siaya, and particularly so targeting women and even further in younger women in Siaya County?
Let me start with younger women. You find that there are ladies who dropped out of school majorly because of teenage pregnancy, lack of school fees. Maybe they are orphans, so they drop out of school, go get married, then the marriage fails, they come back, they have nothing to do. So I had good strategy to curb this. First of all, we wanted to, if I got the chance, we would have introduced mentorship in high schools and primary, so that we don't encounter this teenage pregnancy. I've done the campaign before in Coast Region while I was still in campus, and it really bore fruits. And we wanted to introduce that in Siaya so that we curb the teenage pregnancy menace. Apart from that, now these women who have dropped out of school because of school fees or pregnancies, we wanted to take them to vocational training colleges, where, because you find that most of them don't have money, the family is poor, so there's nothing they can do with their life. Yeah, so we wanted to take them to vocational training colleges where they could learn, they could study things, courses like saloon, tailoring, for boys even plumbing, yeah, such courses. And then after that, we would secure jobs for them, and some of them we would give them a starting capital for their businesses. I feel that would have helped the young women. Going to the old women, are not so old but middle-aged, you find that some of them are widows. Like for me, I was brought up by a single mom, a widow, and you find that, okay, mostly the man is always the breadwinner of the family, and when the man passes, there are a lot of challenges that these widows face. Like one, you'll find that the family of the man now, they don't even want to, the land that was allocated to the man is taken away from the woman and the children. Yeah, a lot of stuff happen. Apart from that, they don't even have an income. They have orphans to take care of. So we wanted to have some docket that that is there for those widows, so that whenever such things happen, they can go report there, and then the law takes its course. And then second, we would have some empowerment money for the widows, so that they can start some small business in order to take care of the orphans. Yeah.
All right. Now, given you had all these plans set out, should have you been elected the woman rep for Siaya County, which unfortunately did not happen, do you still intend to find ways around being involved in the youth leadership and women representation in Siaya County, or it's taking a step back to reevaluate your plans, re-strategize, and wait for 2027?
I won't really wait for 2027 because I was for a good cause. I wanted to help our people. Having been brought up in such an environment, I understand the challenges. So that's why I have an organization that is basically for community development. So as at now, I'm stabilizing, I'm trying to get people who can support our organization so that we can start the projects in Siaya. The ones that we'll manage to do, we shall do them. Yeah.
And what kind of partnerships are you hoping to get with this particular organization to, again, ultimately be for the good of the residents of Siaya?
I'm hoping to get maybe donors who can give us, like, for children in schools, who can give us, because you find that there are many children who don't have school fees. So if we can pay school fees for those children who are suffering, those orphans, if we can give them some uniform, shoes, and then for the women, the plans that I had stated earlier, if we can actualize them, we can give pads to our people. We can have some community projects that I was sharing with the people during campaigns. I had some projects that I was thinking if we could introduce them, like maybe evaluating the soil, planting some crops that can do well there. Then after that, we look for market for their products, such stuff. If that one can be possible, then we'll be a notch higher.
Okay. Now, looking at generally the Kenyan political space and the place of women, over the years we have seen more and more women being elected to or rather winning these elective positions. And just looking at the office of the governor's office, this year we have around 7 women that, were elected as governors compared to the previous years. 2017 we had 3, 2019 we had none. But now looking at these women that are in these positions of power, considerable power, how can they change the narrative around women, leadership, and politics to ensure that we are seeing these numbers grow by the year?
Yeah, I'm so happy the numbers are growing, and I'm sure in the coming years we'll even be more than men. Yeah, we are taking up the spaces. Yeah.
So what can they do to ensure that we are actually taking up those spaces? From what you think?
From what I think, just educating people to tell them that, hey, look, even women can do this. Women can do this better than men. Yeah, and it's happening. It's happening. Yeah.
All right. Now, still also looking at the fact that you are a young person and the youth also constitute a big part of the Kenyan population. But just looking at the voter turnout, 14 million from a total registered number of 22 million, there are 8 million that did not participate in this general election. Whether they are youth or not, we are here to get the figures in regards to the specifics. But looking at this whole question of voter apathy among the general population when it comes to voting, what are your thoughts on that?
Like where I come from, there were so many people who didn't vote in 2022, basically because of the narrative that was there. People would say that if you vote this person, he won't be announced. We are the people in power. You're going nowhere, and then you find that this person who is not voting is a darling to the person you're saying you won't announce. So they'll just sit, relax, and say, no, there's no need of me voting because my person won't be announced after all, which is not good. So next time we'll try and work with the opponents, educate the people, to show them that they have to vote.
They have to vote.
Yeah.
Now, as we close this conversation, just your closing remarks to our viewers this morning, the residents of Siaya, the 7,447 that voted for you, that believed in your campaign, your manifesto, the plans that you had for them, and also just what more they can expect from you in the capacity that you are in now, given you're not in the elective space, but you still intend to fulfill some of the intentions you had for Siaya. There's your camera right there.
My last appeal to my people of Siaya, I'd really thank you for the opportunity that you gave me so that I can share with you my vision for Siaya. Thanks for the people who voted for me. Thanks too for the people who embraced me but didn't vote me. The plans that I shared with the people, we'll still actualize them even without the position. We'll use the organization. Hopefully, if we get donors, we'll use the organization to actualize the plans, and I still mean well for you. All the best to Siaya.
All right, so how can they interact with you?
My Facebook account is Emma space Q alafu space Akinyi. The one that I was using during campaign was Siaya Women Rep 2022 Emma Akinyi.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through. We do appreciate you for, just putting yourself out there, because number one, it's not easy to put yourself on a national platform from everyone to judge you and to hold you to account. So we do appreciate you for that and for making time to be with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. So that brings us to a close of the program. Thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate your valued company. We do this again tomorrow right here on KBC Channel 1. This has been Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jade Wamboy Kibera. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.